Hey everyone, I'm Jude Hotep, the goddess astrologer and alchemical initiatrix. Really happy to share with you this Virgo full moon video for March 7th, 2023. I'm sharing this with you late Thursday. We're going to get into the charts right away because I have so much prepared for you. There's so much good content here that I've really dug up that has been percolating for a really long time, literally since 2020, since I kind of found some information that this moon really relates to, a lot of other research for a long time. So I'm really excited to share this with you. I am going to be doing the Sun Sign Horoscopes. There's chapters, but I really encourage you not to skip over this part because there's going to be some really deep information here. This is a big month. Lots is changing, but this month harkens to what we've been living through for a really long time, this time in our lives that we're in an accelerated evolution. I want to really give this context that a lot of the light bringers, light goddesses, those of you on the leading edge, awake, a lot of us are forgetting the subtext of this time that we're living right now. So I want to bring us back to that first, that this is really important to remember when you're tired, when you need extra rest, when you can't handle as much, or when you are really going into a dip sometimes and really having a lot churn up. Remember, we're in the time of the great healing. This is a lifestyle now for the rest of our lives because the planets are forces within us and without us that provoke us. So they provoke and stimulate things deep in our psyches, deep in our subconscious, deep in the shadow, deep in the past lives. So as we up level, as we grow, as we evolve, as our DNA upgrades, as more light floods into the planet and we awaken, because awakening isn't a one and done. You might have some big, massive awakenings that are earth shattering, but you will continue to awaken for the rest of your life. And there's a lot of programs to be peeling away and dismantling inside your psyche soul. So this is a long journey to process. This is this lifetime. And so with that subtext, with that context of what you're experiencing, the in-class flares and all the solar flares, the ley lines coming online, and so much is happening in our world, and the morphogenic field changing constantly with the expanding and contraction of the collective. So much that we're going through. So remember to give yourself a break, bring in so much self-compassion, and remember the overall understanding of this time in her story. Our story is women awakening on this planet. We are the hinge pin to all of humanity being able to step into that higher way of living from the heart and our intuitive natures and getting back to soul and our interconnectedness with all of life and existence, and bringing the wholesomeness, the love, compassion, connection, intimacy back to ourselves, the community, the things we need as humans that we are craving and bereft of. And so realize that we're in the time of the great healing. We're also in this time of upgrades, challenges, changes at the 3D level. There's going to be a lot of chaos and a lot of people reacting really differently than what you're going through as a light bringer, as a light goddess. You are doing different things because at the 3D level, people are not understanding what's going on. They just know they're being constricted and squeezed and provoked and challenged, and they're stressed, and they're not initiated people having ever had challenge or like never gone without food or never had a difficulty, and suddenly there's just all of the world is shifting and changing right underneath their feet and no context for them to really understand what's going on. And then more and more people will be awakening as well. So realize that, don't get caught up in the dramas of the people that aren't awakened or wherever they're at on that spectrum. Give people the dignity of their own timeline. Don't be caught into the wanting to be stimulated by all the drama and all of that, because that affects your ability to imagine and create your reality, because we're going into a massive time where Neptune and Saturn are going to be dancing. And our reality is going to be so amazing to really be able to create and decreate, deconstruct and reconstruct, and really create our manifestations the way we want, and see how we've created this manifestation. We're like, I want to tweak it. I don't quite like this. Oh, like that's what's running in my subconscious. Let me go back in. And I'm going to get into an example of this and talk more about this later. So I'm just going to dive in because I have a lot to bring to you. And then we're going to go into the Sun Sign Horoscopes. If you love these videos, please like them. It really helps the metrics. This is a growing YouTube channel. I hope you realize this content is really, really solid and not indicative of the views and all of that at this time. So please help the growth and to get this content out there so that more light bringers and more women can be supported with this material. I really appreciate that. And I'm really hoping that you'll help me get this video out there more. So if you might share it with someone or tell a friend about it, I'd be so appreciative. So if you like this stuff, like the video. It really helps. I appreciate it, y'all. All right, let's dig into this. So I'm really excited about this. So I'm going to get into a little bit about what's been going on this week. We've moved into March, right? And this month that we've been looking towards for a long time. And just to give a greater context, 2022 was deep dives into shadow, lots of retrogrades, Venus going through the underworld. Okay, here we are in March. So March 1st, Mercury is nearing this conjunction to Saturn hanging out at this 29-degree mark, the last degree of Aquarius, the analytical degree. I just put out a video of Saturn in Pisces, moving into Pisces. This is happening with this full moon, right after this full moon. So you can watch that video. I talk a lot about what Saturn in Aquarius was. So all of the people with Saturn returns, either your early degrees of Pisces, or you're in the Aquarius range somewhere, or somewhere in the early decade and a half of Pisces, you have been experiencing your Saturn return. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Saturn is often so misinterpreted by astrologers, and I'm really working to bring this different perspective of Saturn, because we have to remember that the planets are forces upon us and within us, right? So if we look at it like that, it's like it's not our enemy. The reason why Saturn can feel so challenging and devastating is because Saturn is about, where are we inauthentic to soul? And so we don't always know what that is, because we've been programmed, conditioned, socialized by living in this world, our families, religion, the overculture, by our South Node and Moon stuff, by our past lives of conditioning to respond this way, or to keep recreating these old patterns. And we often recreate the old patterns of our South Node until somewhere along the line, either luckily, we begin to be like, I've had enough of this, which sometimes can take people like 70 years if they really don't have access to this type of information. That's why astrology really actually should be taught in school from early on. And our schools should actually obviously not be an industrial educational complex, and really truly giving our children something beautiful, because then everybody would realize if there's 1,259 ways a planet can show up, then there's 1,259 ways that we could have more compassion towards other people and why they are the way they are, and that we're not weird or different. We're just wounded or damaged, or we're dark, or we're awakened, or we're somewhere on the journey, right? And so we could have a lot more compassion for others, and we would just realize, I just don't vibe with that person. I don't have to judge them. And here's the thing, it would kind of ruin the whole pundits thing. Like, everybody's sitting around massaging their dick about nothing, about thoughts, about opinion and editorial. Like, how boring is that? But okay, little soapbox aside. Saturn, getting back to Saturn, we it feels so challenging because often it's stripping away everything we thought that was our identity, that we considered our security, that we thought we had to have all of these things. That's why Saturn returns can be so provoking and so devastating, where people have massive moves across the country, health issues, family issues, things change, marriages end, marriages begin, all of these types of things and more happen during Saturn returns. It's over a span of years typically. And so if you have anywhere, in the Aquarius, an Aquarius Saturn or a Pisces Saturn, anywhere in the first decade to the middle of the second decade, roughly, you may have been experiencing already or are coming to a completion point of your Saturn return stuff, where you've really been going through massive changes and difficulties, and it's been as challenging as was needed to strip you away of what is not authentic and soul and of your highest next evolution for the next 28 to 30 years. So that's on a personal note for those people. If you have a rising, a Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon, Saturn is going to be affecting you sometime in the next 3 years, particularly if you're in the early degrees. It's going to be coming up, especially if you're at a 0 to 7 degrees. It's going to be here this year, and particularly if you're at 0 to 3 degrees or so, it's going to be right away. It's right now. It's happening. So this can be a real catalyst, a rebirth. This can be a real activation for you. And so this is a beautiful time. And to dig deeper into your specific natal chart, you can book an astrology reading with me at thegoddessastrologer.com. Also, the Goddess Retreat is active and going every Friday. I go deep into a planet and we gather in female community. This is sacred space, confidential space. There are replays if you've missed any, so you can go back to those replays. Only the people in the Goddess Retreat get those, so it's confidential as can possibly be in this type of container. And we go deep and talk about our charts together, all understanding the planets better through each other and our shared experiences. So it is an amazing group of women, deep. There's no competition, there's no superiority issues, there's women really being raw and real, and it's beautiful. And it's $23 for all 14 sessions. So it's a no-brainer. So there's a couple ways where you can start diving into your astrology deeper. And we've been talking about Saturn returns. We had an amazing Saturn session last week. We have 5 or 6 Saturn returns in our group. I mean, it's just really beautiful. So getting to this week. So the first, I'm recording this on the 3rd. No, I'm recording this on the 2nd, late night, Thursday, so before this full moon on Tuesday. So I'm going to go over the week a little bit to help us understand what's been going on. And we have a lot happening. So I'm going to go ahead and move this off to the 2nd, where we have this conjunction of Mercury and Saturn in the last degrees of Aquarius, the 29th degree mark. This is where things are harder, things are more intense. Saturn's at home in Aquarius, so Saturn's been strong for the last 6 years in Capricorn and then in Aquarius. And Saturn has been, I went over it really deeply in that Saturn in Pisces video, so I recommend going back into that. But Saturn restricts to get us to focus, because Saturn's a focuser, to get us to focus on what's really important about that archetype of the sign that it's in, and then it catalyzes us into either the middle road highest expression or the highest expression essence that we can, if we are able to go there, if we have it within us and we're ready to really elevate to that highest level. I mean, we can really elevate. And I show this through, let me show you the way I can show you this real quick. And I went into this deeply in that other video. I'm going to show you this briefly. Hold on. Where are you? Here we go. Okay. So understanding astrology is beautiful by understanding the gene keys. So I'm a big fan of the gene keys, but it helps you understand astrology. So this is the shadow. Every sign has the shadow. You can also call it the unconscious expression, the static expression, where you're just in some homeostasis where you're not growing. It's not a good static. It's not a good homeostasis. And then that shadow, because the planets are forces within and without us that provoke us and stimulate us and trigger us and push our buttons and cause us to move, then that makes us go into this gift of just the fact that we're trying to figure out that shadow to begin with is a gift, because that's growth and evolution for our soul. But then that has a lot of gifts within it. And so you could also say it's like this next higher expression, getting out of that shadow expression and at least having some sort of higher form of expression, more conscious, more effort, more awareness. And then we can go into this absolute highest expression, or the highest gift, the highest essence of our self and our soul incarnated, and you know, the highest evolution that we get for our soul. So this is kind of what the gene keys can really help us see and to look at. And I love using this example of doubt, for example, makes us question, like, what the hell is going on here? That inquiry is a gift itself, because it's moving us and getting us out of that shadow, out of that doubt. And then we end up with some wisdom, some truth that we find out for us, and we know more of ourselves and get to that higher authenticity that's so beautiful. So when we apply this back to wish Zoom would just do some more things a little bit automatically, but anyways, so when we apply this back to the analytical degree and the shadow and any sort of challenge that you're having, realize that you're having this to get you to move, to get you to do something different. Challenges aren't here to be, to, you know, it's a lot to do with how you're narrating life. If you're narrating life of the programs of the overculture and the way you were programmed to think that life was, school, career, family, picket fence, retirement, death, this assembly line, this ant farm, this sheep thing that's fake and false in this program, if you're really believing that that's what that life is, it's the Joneses and get all the material possessions, and I want to be like everybody on TV and do the social media thing, and I just want to go have fun and whatever and check out and, you know, all of this, then these things are really fucking provoking and challenging and hard, because it's not what this is about. The challenges are giving the chance for soul evolution. And when you can just have this underbelly perspective with you at all times, this different subtext, this different understanding of life, it gets really fun. It makes challenge different. You approach it with a completely different perspective and narrative. And it makes the way you handle challenge a lot more mature and a lot more elevated and conscious and soul wizened, which is Saturn. Saturn is about wisdom. It's at home in Capricorn. Capricorn's about wisdom. It's the older sign of the zodiac. It's the aged one, aged tree, Earth. It's wisdom that's been accumulated, where once we really honored and revered our elders and looked to them as, you've had all this life experience, you know all these things, you're passing down this oral tradition to us so that we can alchemize that with our new modern world and experiences and go forth with that great information. Of course, evolving, something that evolves, not staying static. Nothing's ever static. Static means death. Static means stagnation, the bog that has the water on the top with all of the germs and bacteria growth and all of that, because it's stagnant. So it's like, no, this is an evolving thing, but with so many, you know, decades and decades where our elders haven't been respected, they're off in homes and relegated to corners of the earth where they're not passing down our wisdom to the younger generations. And now you have teenagers thinking socialism is great. Mind-boggling. wow, do we really need to give you a week holiday in North Korea to let you know what it's really about? Is you want to really find out about socialism and communism? We've done that. We've been there. There's this thing about these 80-year cycles. Do we really need to repeat 80-year cycles because we're not wizened? And so these are the things to bring in about challenge, to have a different perspective about the way you handle challenge. Something else going on at the beginning of this month. This is Thursday. By the time you watch this, this will already have went down, but this is going to help you understand your week so far and help you understand moving forward and help you understand what this month is all about. This is a big, amazing, cool month, not just because of Saturn and Pluto, these big outer planets changing signs and therefore really provoking massive energetic shifts and changes in consciousness and in the collective, in our world. And while these shifts are going to be rolling out over time, not necessarily are you going to notice big dramatic things right away, or you will on some fronts. There's a lot happening, but there's a lot more going down this month. So we're going to get into this. We have Jupiter and Venus, the benefics in Aries at 12 degrees conjunct on this Thursday, on the March 2nd. But here's the thing, they're conjunct Chiron, and Chiron and Saturn and Chiron and Mercury have this semi-square. So what's happening on Thursday is the wound Chiron and the challenge Saturn is in your face. That Mercury at those last degrees of Aquarius makes it sharp, direct, and to the point. You cannot deny it. You are not going to be able to space out on it, numb out on it, be complacent, push it aside, sweep it underneath the rug. It's going to be real and raw in here. Here's the thing. You have a chance to rewrite old patterns and old wounds, Mercury. Let's rewrite the old neural pathways. Let's not do the wounds the same way. This is coming up to heal. This is about the time of the great healing. Remember the whole bigger context and perspective of what humanity is going through right now. So with that in mind, as you handle and take on the months to come, as things keep rolling out and a lot goes down at the 3D level to distract you and to get you into fear, fear is coming up really big. So what are your techniques and tools for fear? Because I teach those in Light Goddess. I teach those in Alchemical Goddess, my coaching program. I teach you techniques that actually work. I have scoured the world for techniques that work. There's a lot of millions of things out there, but what actually works and what works quick and how do you use it effectively? And I have scoured the world over 34 years to find what really works. Okay, this is a supportive tool, great, but this is what is effective, and it's effective immediately for me to shut down a nervous PTSD response or fear response in my nervous system because of seeing the news or seeing something that happened or almost being in a car accident because people are being really aggro out in the road because of these energies. How do I have techniques, several of them, that are effective and that really work? And so this is about you realizing that you have it within you to rewrite these old patterns, these old neural pathways, these emotional neural pathways where you used to have that PTSD response, you used to have that fear response, you used to be upset, angry, etc. And now you have a chance to rewrite the way you handle these challenges and wounds coming up that are probably going to be triggering really old ancient stuff from past lives, from this life. I've been seeing how my South Node past life stuff is like really triggered, and it's not from this life, but it is fucking palpable. It has been really palpable. And luckily I've been doing all of the inner work. I do my own inner work massively this last 8 months. Like, wow, it has been mind blowing. And I know immediately what it is. I'm like, wow, it's so fascinating because I've dug into a lot of my past lives to help me understand why I have these south node triggers and then what to do with them to heal them. I've been healing them. And so they're less and less and less, but the awareness of like, this is what this is not this life. It is so profound that you are healing us on the cutting edge, awakened light goddesses here to radiate our light and help humanity heal and awaken and shine light really big and make this big collective shift into the light once again. We've been in the darkness for 5,000-6,000 years. We're making this big shift back to the light. That's one of the overarching perspectives to understand and keep with you in your heart as you're really understanding what's happening on a day-to-day level, that we are healing lifetimes of ancient karma and patterns and traumas and old issues. So realize that's what's coming up for you, is that you're doing such massive evolution for your soul at levels that you don't even know. And this turns on your gifts. It turns on your intuitive abilities at these heightened senses, these heightened levels, so you can help your audience as a divine feminine entrepreneur. So these two conjunctions with the semi square is about, it's in your face, it's the shadow coming up, it's the old wounds, it's probably connected to ancient stuff, and it is here. It's time to rewrite it. You are able to do this now. You're able to change the way you respond. You're able to use tools, or for some of you, this is going to be, hey, it's time for me to go get these tools and face this stuff. Because otherwise I'm going to keep recreating the old reality over and over again. Lack and fear and not feeling secure and distrust and not having what you want in life and not creating your dreams. I don't want to create that. And again, so I'm going to go start facing this stuff and start down my healing path, or I'm going to go actually get tools that work. I've been dinking around and trying a lot of stuff, but what's effective? What actually helps you heal? One of my clients, we just got to the 6-month mark, and the list of things that we've healed and the power, her reclamation of power is just like, I mean, it's just mind blowing. It is so beautiful. And she has healed ancient stuff and stuff that she tried to heal in 10 years of therapy and did not heal. And we healed in 6 months. And she has tools that she will take with her for a lifetime, that she has now to create the reality that she desires, and will always have the ability to handle new challenges or old stuff that might pop up or new triggers. And so this is the power of being this empowered being, of understanding what we're in collectively, understanding the broader perspectives that we're in. And so this is a big deal here. And so I want to make sure I just have so many notes for this full moon. I'm kind of, really look at your escapism behavior, wanting to sweep things underneath the rug. This is a chance to do it different. So take this opportunity. Don't blame yourself. Really watch the way you respond to the shadow, stress, and anger. And here's something I really want to, there's going to be a lot of people at the 3D doing a lot of shadow projection, stress, anger projection, shadow blaming. Watch out for that, look out for that, and look out for yourself doing it too. We're all, on this journey. So look at where you're shadow projecting or stressing and projecting it onto people, not meaning to maybe, or just trying to handle it. And also realize that it might be coming at you. See if you can be the most compassionate, go in your heart, but also zero tolerance policy to that. You can kindly, you don't have to be in the conflict of it, but you can say, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this old song and dance, or no, you need to treat me better. I had to do that with someone today. I said, no, your stress is not my responsibility. When you can, stop doing these microaggressions, then you can come back and talk to me and we can have this conversation. And I'm having to stand up in my power at these really big heights and stretch myself beyond where I've been. But all the work I've been doing is allowing me to be very confident and do that. And we're going to get into some things about this Leo full moon that we went to went through 2 full moons ago where that was a birth canal, that was a hard full moon, it's a birth canal to your greater confidence and self-assurance, to be able to stand up in your power, to say no to that behavior, but with compassion and with your heart. And then look at how we have this Lilith and Leo opposition. So the standing in the empowerment of our light, which means speaking. Being a light bringer and a light goddess means you speak. Stop this social, we have to help each other and have compassion for ourselves to stop this social conditioned response of being polite, and this polite duty, this duty to be polite. That's not polite to anybody. That's actually hurting the collective, because nobody's facing the real shit, because everybody's dancing and walking on eggshells, and that doesn't help anybody. Actually stand in your power. You can do it with compassion and certainty and confidence. Speak the truth and speak your truth, and let people fall where they may. Triggered, buttons pushed, they got to go, they hate you, whatever. That's their shadow and their stuff to deal with. Just like when you get triggered, that's your shadow and your stuff to deal with, and you're doing the inner work, because that's what we have to do as humanity collectively now. You know, it's amazing that people aren't understanding what we're in. We're going to be, especially if you're up leveling in your business and revenue and your visibility in the world, you're going to be provoked. Big dreams take big emotions and big triggers and big provocations within you, and big inner challenges of evolution, personal growth and evolution. Be ready for that. Step into it. Have fun with this, because this is fun. Because I'll tell you what, that work and healing gets you to the other side of the journey. Like I am getting to with just this massive journey of healing I've been on with my clients. I'm seeing so many of my clients get to these markers where it's just, wow, their evolution explodes. What the work and effort they put in. I have clients that it takes me forever to convince them to do the tools, but when they do, man. And then I have clients that dig in and are like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Like, you know, and they're doing the inner work, and wow, the evolution is just so beautiful. My heart is just so full of what we're doing here in this incarnation. So realize that that's what this is about. And then Mercury later on Thursday, let me just move this hours, moves into Pisces. And so, you know, in the evening of Thursday, you know, you'll have already gone through this when you watch this, but you'll have felt that shift of Mercury into Pisces. So that Mercury into Pisces is important. We have all this Pisces energy. This Pisces season is different. So Mercury into Pisces, realize that we're talking about this Virgo full moon. Pisces Virgo is that polarity. Remember that the 12 signs are actually 6 polarities, opposite consciousnesses on either side that are about integrating. They need each other. They need to work together. We often came into this life to major in several or many or all or one of the polarities, where it's really, that's our kind of our major, so to speak, in this life. And we're really working through that particularly. And so this Pisces Virgo axis is about healing. It's the difference between the diffuse and the gestalt, and the details and all of the individual pieces and the more mechanized pieces. Strategy and divine love and compassion, understanding both need each other, the tangible and the intangible that animates that without the intangible, there's nothing. The tangible doesn't exist, but everybody thinks it's backwards. Everybody thinks it's the tangible, and they're like, oh, kind of soul is this, you know, that's more what the general population is under that impression, right? Like, oh, okay, soul, religion or something. No, you're not here if there's no Pisces. Pisces is really the first sign of the zodiac, being a circle that the soul animates, that life force Aries. Now we're incarnated and we take on an identity. So we have this zoom. So we have Mercury going into this. Mercury's our mind, our perspective. With it going into Pisces, the opposite, Mercury's at home in Virgo and Gemini. So it's at home in Virgo, very analytical earth sign. So earthy, mutable, analytical. So that Virgo energy is very trying to figure things out, thinking it through, processing data, organizing, scheduled, specific, particular, meticulous, detailed. We need the Virgo archetype and all of the 12 archetypes in life because we need to be able to be specific. When we're cooking, you can be a little more Pisces and throw it all in and make an amazing stir fry. Baking, you need to be Virgo specific. Otherwise, that cake is not going to come out right. So with Mercury going into the sign opposite its home sign, it is not necessarily strong. It's not the most, functional and strong. And so Mercury, though, realized that it's an interesting thing in Pisces because Mercury is the two hemispheres of the brain, the right brain and the left brain. Pisces is that right brain. It's the feminine. It's the emotions. It is the intuition. It is the knowingness. It is the channeling. Because we have to realize that our left brain is actually a receiving tower for soul. And with Uranus being the higher octave of Pisces, it's that receiver. The transmitter, the transmitter and receiver of soul. And so Mercury is down on the ground, more boots on the ground, dealing with the everyday mundane life, using the mind to communicate and tell people what to do and regurgitate things from the reticular activating system of the brain that knows everything you've ever been through. And so when you think a thought, your thought goes through that reticular activating system of your brain and finds everything that corroborates it. And so that's why we so often believe our own thoughts when thoughts aren't truth. We really want to separate circumstances, facts, situations, stimulus, triggers, etc., from all of our thoughts about that we get to actually choose on purpose and see, are they serving us? Are these thoughts serving us, helping us, creating the life that we want to create? How are these thoughts making us feel? Are they making us feel good? Then maybe I want to question my brain and not buy into all the shit that it's offering me because it's just old default programming, old default patterns, habits of thinking, because I've been thinking it over and over and over again. So really consider that with Mercury and Pisces, we're going to be more dreamy, creative, loving, flowing, and wanting to be a lot more soft. You might feel confused and not so sharp mentally and, doubt, confusion, foggy, but realize it's because you're meant to have the answer flow to you intuitively from your divine channel, your connection. You have the connection to your higher self, divine, and all the wisdom in the multiverse. You don't need the mind to think and figure it out. So this is a good thing. And Mercury's going ahead of Saturn and kind of preparing this way. The sun's already here in Pisces, world soul, Neptune at home in Pisces. And so while this is happening, Venus will be moving out of that exact conjunction with Jupiter and moving towards an exact conjunction with Chiron. Let's see. Moving to Friday. Moving to Friday, we have Venus and Chiron in an exact conjunction. And here's the other thing about Neptune, all this Pisces energy. Neptune, the world soul, the collective connection to whence we come, our creativity. And then the sun. The sun right now, this Pisces season isn't like Pisces seasons of the past. because we are really revisiting old areas where things have happened in ancient times that where we were disconnected from our divinity and where duality came in really hard. And so we are grieving, healing, having so much opportunity to manifest, create the reality we want, or heal everything in the way of being able to create the reality we want. Often you can't just pop into higher vibrations and focus on all the good and focus on what you have and create more amazing stuff if you're not healing the wounds. So like Abraham, for example, the Abraham Hicks work, it's amazing, but if you are not doing the healing inner work, you can't pop right there. You can't focus on the good. Your brain's not going to let you because you're not managing your mind and all the default patterns and thinking. So I just want to make sure, is there anything important I wanted to say about that? Yeah, okay, good. What's some important stuff here is wanting to get to, just have some fun stuff to share with you. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Okay. I've been like working on some of this stuff for like 3 years. So realize that with this Pisces energy, again, if you're not connected to your soul and you're not in contact with your intuition and you're living off mind, you're going to be challenged and confused and fogged out. So it's when you feel confused, it's time to go do self-inquiry and connect to higher self, connect to your guides, connect to the multiverse, meditate, tap in, listen inward, ask your heart questions, start to get connected to your feminine and get quiet into the stillness, into the, journal, meditate, draw, paint, dance, chant. Do that Pisces beautiful, flowing fun. Let go of this have to stuff. What do you think you have to do? And why? And who says? So this conjunction of Venus and our wound, Chiron, in Aries, about our autonomy. How are we going to be a more autonomous species? We're going to be a more autonomous humanity and collective by facing the freaking wounds and healing that and looking at it and facing it head on. And this semi-square to Saturn, the challenge, the last degrees of Aquarius, everything we've gone through in the last 3 years of saying, are you connecting based on the old paradigm, control, affluence, money, how this person makes me look? Or are you connecting on soul and heart and vibration and frequency? Are you attracting Venus, attraction, magnetization, your deep desires, bringing to you abundance and all that you want, the deep longing and the goodness of life, the amazing, the Venus is what makes life worthy. So we need Venus. We, in this incarnation, everything we're going through as humanity, we need Venus. It's what makes life worthy and worthwhile. And so are you attracting that to you? Are you magnetizing that because of your frequency and your level and your frequency? Are you able to keep it high because you are doing the inner work and the healing, which does mean that you have tough transitory emotions and you do have dips into the underworld sometimes? But do I have the tools and skills to deal with that? And so really understanding this. Let's see, what else is important that I really want to talk to you about? This is breakthroughs. So this is breakthroughs. When you are doing and have been doing this healing work for so long, and when you're doing this is breakthroughs, no longer being scared of your emotions. If there's no emotion that you can't feel, then nothing can ever hurt you, because the worst that can happen to you is an emotion. And this is something my one of my coaches, Brooke Castillo, like brought forward and some years ago, and I've integrated it into my teachings because it's this interesting thing where when I was doing a lot of healing, I fought with that idea because I'm like, no, this. And I've gone through things. I've gone through things I don't know anybody that's gone through, honestly. Weird stuff, and there's reasons for it. There's reasons why I've gone through what I've gone through, so I can do the work I do in the world to help people heal. But it's been, I fought with this idea, but seriously, everything you want in life is because of how you think you're going to feel when you get it. Happy, relief, abundant, freedom, liberation, joy, approved of, loved, desired, etc., etc. Right? Everybody loves me, I'm on stage, or I'm abundant, or I have everything, I'm liberated, I'm free, I can do whatever I want. That's the feeling of liberation or freedom. So it's the emotion that you're actually seeking. So if you can feel any emotion, the full spectrum of human emotions, which is hundreds of them, all the challenging and tough ones, there's nothing that can ever hurt you. You can go and be like, okay, I can feel this dastardly, horrible emotion. And I have the inner ability. And so that's what this is about, is the breakthroughs to understand either you're on your way or you've gained those skills and you're realizing your empowerment, because Venus is our empowered feminine, our connection to the feminine principle, what makes life worth living, our emotions, our empowerment, the standing up for the goodness and wholesomeness and the important things in life, pleasure, the things that feel good, all Venus. And teaching on Venus in this week's goddess retreat on Friday, when you might be seeing this, but you'll get the replay if you come join us. So I wanted to also say that this is the gifts. This is about the gifts that you get when you do the healing, that you get the gifts that I was showing you, the gene keys at the beginning, that there are gifts in just simply going through the healing journey yourself, that you become a healer, a teacher, you become armed with the wisdom now to help others. This is your PhD for the work you're doing in the world as a starseed, as a light goddess, as a light bringer, as an awakened one, as a guide, as a leader. But also the gifts of your soul's evolution, your wisdom, the understanding, just understanding and clarity is such a massive, powerful gift. Finally being free of old patterns and wounds and triggers and responses, because you did that work and you kept with it and you kept with it and you kept with it, because this is about healing the wounds of what made life feel so sucky. Venus, what made life not worth living? What caused the existential crisis and you didn't want to be here? What caused the demoralization? What caused you to not feel worthy or valued or loved or desirable? This is all of these issues here. This is all of the gifts we get by going in and doing this healing or having done it and being where you're at now and seeing it all just coming to fruition right now. And that's what that Saturn is, that focus to fruition. That's Saturn. Saturn's a focuser. So if you've been doing this work, you're getting these gifts right now. But if you're just starting on this journey or you're in the middle of it, it's okay, because the journey itself is a gift. And it takes time to see that if you're deep in it right now. So if you're deep in it, it's coming. It's coming for you. Stick with it. You got it. I promise you. Stick with the healing. Face the stuff. Go through this difficult time. I promise you. And especially if you can get yourself a guide, a coach, a mentor. If you don't want to work with me, find someone you feel resonant with and kindred with to work with, because we need our help and our people on this trail. I don't work without a coach. I do my own inner work, and I also have the people to support me. I do Reiki every week. I do certain things that I do to support myself. I would not go without energetic support and doing inner work personally and having these tools and so forth. What else is important about this that I wanted to share? Like Aries, it's about empowerment, and it's about the feminine rising into our power. This is a time where the feminine is rising into our power at these massive levels. All of us, we're anywhere on that spectrum of having done this work that I've talked about, this reclamation of power through facing the challenge and facing the wounds. And then, and so one of the themes I was talking about this month and the sweetness and amazingness of this month is healing. That this month is so much about the gifts and the fruition of having done all this work of last year and being on this trail and on this journey for so long. Some of you for 25 years, some of you for 10 years, some of you for the last 3 years, some of you just starting, but willing. Willing is a feeling, and that's an amazing feeling to really activate within yourself. It might be hard, but you're like, okay, I'm willing, at least hold on to that. Okay. So, some of you just really need to hear that it's worth it. The journey is worth it. My guides are really coming through big right now to just tell you that you've got support, you've got your guides, ask your guides to start talking to you and showing you signs. They are here, they're supporting you, okay? And there's so many people out there to reach out to and connect with and network and start looking for people and be a resource to each other. That's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be in community, sharing. So, okay, let me get to something here. Okay. So much fun. This is so big. This isn't just anything going down here. Okay. Something else is such new beginnings. This is a full moon. And Pisces is all about soul. So I've told you there's some big overarching themes that are going on, right? And I told you this is a time of the great healing, but this is for the collective along with everyone individually at different levels and various ways and at various levels of consciousness about it all. And so, Chiron is the teacher. And it's about learning, because to heal, like, we have to learn new things. I told you about the forces of the planets provoking us and stimulating us to do different things. And something else I think is super important is to realize that when you heal, there's so many people out there that push forgiveness work. I'm not a big proponent in it. I honestly don't believe in forgiveness. I believe in giant cosmic forgiveness. It's something different. It's not something I'm going to get into here because it's a little bit of a rabbit hole. But the reason I don't believe in forgiveness is because if you do the healing work, forgiveness is moot. It's not even a question anymore. So I'm all about the easy wins for our brain and our psyche soul that we're going through so much. We have so much challenge. We don't need to make it any harder. Like I said, I've scoured the world through all the modalities and all the things out there. I'm a curator, and I ditched the things that were like, that's nice, that's idealistic, it sounds good, which Pisces can be the fantasy and the idealism and being completely off in the like illusion, the fantasy, the longing and wistfulness, and just stuck there. That is not life. That is like a limbo of hell. So if you're in that longing state, you're missing the mark somewhere. So it's like, I don't do, the Ho'oponopono, all of that. I think it's great to help your brain have something to do in certain moments of time, or to help you when I think it's great in certain ways and used in certain ways. But I wouldn't say that that's the technique to use. I would say, let's go find the healing. Let's do the healing. And then forgiveness will be moot. So again, I'm not saying it's not a great tool in your toolbox, in your spiritual gig bag, which I teach about, but it's like, what are the actual things that heal trauma, that heal all this stuff, that actually are effective and fast, and not doing this for 10 years. It's like, no, I don't want to be in therapy for 10 years. What works? What is effective? So, okay. Like, something else that's really important is this, and then moving into this Leo moon. So over this week, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we're going to have this Leo moon. The moon's conjunct Lilith. Lilith is about our empowerment and how are we speaking our truth, owning our no and yes. That's what Lilith is about. How have we been subservient, not meaning to, but because we were so motivated by social belonging? How are we subservient because we were scared, because we felt unsafe, that if we didn't just keep letting the abuser abuse or keep staying in the familiarity, that we wouldn't be any safer over here? How are we going to help ourselves? How are we going to be okay? This felt safe, even if it's abuse or horrible situation or whatever. And then at some point, you're finally provoked past your point where it's like, I have to take the risk of dying to just say, no, this isn't okay for me to be suppressed any longer, or to be ill-treated any longer, or to not be equal. And that Lilith is about the egalitarian society, the equality between the men and women biologically, and the masculine and feminine principles within the world. And so this moon going through the degrees of Leo after we had that full moon 2 full moons ago, where that was a big constriction through this birth canal of new up leveling and upgrades and confidence and self-assuredness. You should be feeling this Leo moon really differently through the 3rd, the 4th Saturday, and the 5th Sunday, before this full moon that we're going to have. So really explore how you're going to be feeling in this Leo full moon, or in this Leo moon that we're having the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. As it conjuncts Lilith, moves off that conjunction to Lilith, your power, your, owning your, this new level of your upgraded sense of self-empowerment, power as a woman, connection to your voice, speaking your no and yes, speaking your truth, that Leo, that truth, that light, that self-possession, that confidence, that standing on stage, being visible in the world. Where do you stand on stage in your life? Where were you unwilling to before? How have you made upgrades? So look at this Leo moon is like, wow, where am I at? Look at how you've shifted. Acknowledge the amazing growth that you've had, because you will be able to see it with this Leo moon over these days. And then we have this sextile from the sun to Uranus, and Uranus is at this 15-degree mark. It's a world point, the things that have been going on in the world, the earthquakes in Turkey, and just a lot of upset, reversals, unexpectedness. It's Uranus is the lightning, windstorms, people, situations, things unexpectedly and coming out of everywhere to churn up things. And so these earthquakes and all the deaths in Turkey, I'm going to relate that to something here in a second and show you what I believe this is a lot about, because Turkey used to be Constantinople, and some things went down in the past that are relating to this time right now and to this full moon. So we're going to get into that right now. And I know these videos can be long, so I'm doing the chapters, and I'm adding more chapters, so you can watch it over time. You can just listen to it when you're driving, things like that. But the chapters are there too. Anyways, let's do this. So the sextile is amazing, because this is this positive, harmonious experience between our awakening, our revolutionary self that's bucking the status quo, speaking up, being willing to go against the programming and how everything was, and handling everything that's shifting underneath our feet in the old world, and being in that reality. Pisces is the 2 fish swimming in opposite directions. We're in our reality that we're creating at the 5D level, high frequency. I'm creating my amazing life in my dreams and money and visibility and having things and friends and soulmate relationships. And I'm creating an amazing business and all the projects and all this stuff. And I'm talking about you doing all of this. And also I'm seeing a lot of people stressed and frazzled and hurt and sad, and the homeless population has exploded all over the country, and so much is going down at the 3D level, and there's chaos and stimulation. The forces of opposition are going to be provoking a lot of fear in the collective, because when you sink down in your frequency, it makes it to where you're not effective. So you have to have those tools and techniques that work to help you have your nervous system be responding different to fear and provocation and stimulus and triggers and all of the hoopla at the 3D level and out in the world. So you're simultaneously seeing the other realities, but you're in this other one that you're creating and up-leveling your ability to keep creating at higher and higher levels. So this sextile is so beautiful, because this Pisces, creating our reality, the 2 fishes, but dealing with grief and all the emotions, and really being in allowing a lot of old old forms and structures and programs of Aeonian programs that are ancient, of the old paradigms in the old world, be breaking down. Uranus having gone through retrograde at this point so much since 2021, breaking down those old crystallized forms and structures in the tangible world that no longer serve the highest expression and the light and humanity and where we're evolving to now. You know, we're going to tip the scales to where more of us are in this other reality and awakened, where people are just going to have to start coming along for the ride or live in that other, you know, not so great reality and so forth. So this sextile is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's so much healing. It's more healing because Pisces is always that healing that we're doing. Like, this is just such massive grieving the grief, facing the losses, facing all these old triggers and wounds that are coming up inside of us, just being triggered randomly. And so this is a big wake-up call, because let me see when I want to like tell you about this. Okay, so yeah, like facing this old stuff and okay, this also is when this Sun Pluto starts to begin this semi-square. Pluto at the last degrees of Capricorn. You know, the 20 years we've been in with Pluto and Capricorn, breaking down and showing us and really revealing how everything wasn't working, and all the programming and all the hidden ways that we were being told and programmed and taught this fake false reality of what the world supposedly was, and thought to believe that life is this assembly line and all of this. So we've been showed this. Pluto's about to change into Aquarius on the 23rd of March. This month is so big, and we'll have 3 months of Pluto in Aquarius. And so it's this semi-square to the sun, getting a lot of information, but really talking about this old time when Turkey was Constantinople, and where we had, you know, the Council of 1869, which were these councils during the Roman empires, and basically they were these organized body that would put out these canons. So these texts, these, you know, these ways of the world, put out these canons. And the 11th canon, you know, they banned spirit. It used to be a trinity of spirit, matter, and soul. And so what's really fascinating is that the Trinity, and if you think about the Matrix movies, the Trinity, and how many places are the Trinity, the Irish symbol, you know, like I won't draw it well, but like the Irish symbol where it's kind of like this shape, and then another one, well, sort of like that to a point, and then like another circle to a point. I can't draw it with shit, but you've seen these shapes. If you look at the patterns, you'll see the pattern of the Trinity in so many places, right? So start looking for that pattern. And this pattern is this where, sorry. It's the Trinity of matter, soul, and spirit. And then you have Constantinople, something like that, not quite, but of 1869. And during 1869 to 1870, when this council was putting out this 11 Canyon, what they did is they banned soul, and they said they banned spirit, not soul. So we want to separate these two. And then those two got very confused from 869. We're talking about a really long time ago. So if you think about the span of time and what we're healing, and we're in the time of the great healing, we're healing 5,000 years of the dominator culture, the power over model, the paradigm, society, and culture, the power over the people being dominated, moved about, told what to think, something external, divinity separated from within yourself. In these millions of ways and systemically, in all these ways that I've gone through, and all the videos I talk about all these different ways to help us understand, because these are the wounds that we're healing and that we relate to in past lives and so forth. So they said, hey, you know, you can only do spirit metaphorically, theoretically. You can't relate to it anymore as a real thing. And they said no. And so they put this restriction on the people. Here's something to understand about Saturn moving into Pisces, is that when Saturn moves into Pisces, an hour right after this full moon in Virgo, this transcendence full moon, that during this time we had Saturn in Sagittarius. And what is Sagittarius? Sagittarius is higher truth. So Saturn is restriction. So if you go back to that Saturn in Pisces video, I talk all about Saturn in Aquarius. It went into Aquarius on March 21st, 2020. What was that? Restriction on the collective, the lockdowns. So Saturn going into Pisces, you can expect to have, Saturn's not as strong in Pisces, so we don't know when and what's going to come from the forces of opposition, the psychopaths, the sociopaths at the helm of the old paradigm, the overculture, etc., and the narcissists out there, damaged egos, but the forces of opposition, restrictions on soul, spirituality, artistry, restrictions on the occult, and intuition, and the trying to probably mind fuck people out in the world about how that's all bullshit somehow, supposedly. So you can expect that this is what's going to, be going on, the restriction aspect of it. But remember, the restrictions of Saturn are about getting us to focus. Saturn is saying focus here. So what is Saturn in Pisces? Focus on soul, focus on intuition, focus on healing. Pisces is healing, soul, intuition, artistry, manifestation, creating art, creating your life as art. Because whatever's in your subconscious, which is Pisces, creates your reality, Saturn, and the tangible. And so we create our reality with our actual imagination, because nothing exists from a book to a salt lamp to a broom until it was imagination first. Because the trees existed on the earth, but to make them into the house, I had to imagine it. I had to even think up the idea of a house. It's like all these rocks forming this little cave structure that I'm living in really sucks. It's not really keeping out the cold or the wind. I wonder what I could build. Maybe I could cut down the trees, and maybe I could make them into planks. Maybe I can make a house. This is how real in truth it is, that we create a reality with our imagination. Truly, we want to be really skilled at managing all these thoughts that I was talking about earlier that aren't truth. Do you have that skill set? Do you know how to do that? So the Council of Constantinople in 1869 said, no, we're done with spirit. And that was when Saturn was in Sagittarius. So Saturn, restriction on Sagittarius, higher truth, spirit. So then you have Turkey and the earthquakes, and it's kind of like Uranus on this world point that's saying, hey, it's really fascinating that that's where the earthquakes took place, because Uranus is like this flash of lightning that is devastation and complete reversals and horrible and devastation and shakes things up, but it's awakening comes from that. So if you think about, I don't know what year it was, but there was this big lightning strike, Uranus in Yellowstone, that completely burnt the forest down. It was one of the biggest fires they've ever had. But 30 years later, the scientists talk about how the vegetation could never have been better, and it was not that good before. It took 30 years for that Uranus awakening and devastation and breakdown to break through, which is Uranus, breakdown to break through. It took 30 years for that breakdown to become breakthrough of Yellowstone never being better. But look what happened. So I really am thinking that this, and I'm going to show you another piece of of information that I think will really help to understand that this Turkey and the earthquakes is this big breakdown and earth shattering of old times and old things to have this big awakening that's going to unfold, I think, over the next decades to come. And I think it has everything to do with right now. And so the other thing to understand is that on the 6th, moving to the 6th, we are having the Sun Uranus sextile. I already talked about that. We are went kind of deep into that. I'm not going to rehash it. Videos get long. This world point that's so important. We're really healing our connection to spirit. We're really bringing back what this is all about. That's why there's so much Pisces. That's why this Pisces season is different. And Sagittarius and mutable. And this full moon has a lot of mutable energy. It's so much mutable energy is going on. Mutable meaning versatile, meaning you have the ability to shift and change and manifest and like create and be like, oh, it's not quite how I wanted it, and deconstruct it and recreate. So it's reconstruction, deconstruction, it's manifestation. So if you listen to the Convoluted Universe books, it's Dolores Canyon books, they're on Audible. I don't recommend reading Dolores Canyon books because she has this like interview, like there's a person interviewing and then there's somebody answering and then this other piece is answering, and so I think they're hard to read personally, or not, or just stilted to read. But listening to her books on Audible is quite wonderful. And if you listen to those Convoluted Universe books, I can't remember what the heck which one it is because there's 5 of them, but it's in either 1 through 3. I think it's in one of the first 3. She talks about how she puts somebody in a past life regression and she's going back through beyond their past lives to other worlds that their soul has traveled in, and other experiences beyond earth carnation stuff that they've experienced. And she's like, where are you at? And they're like, well, I'm on some sort of like playing field, so to speak. And it's kind of like this room or this like a floor that's like kind of floating in space, so to speak. And I am, and the person is like, I'm creating things, I'm making things, I'm playing, I'm having fun. So if you kind of imagine like this is a floor like floating in space, and you're the human here, and you're creating things, like maybe you're creating a tree and a house, and and you're doing it with your manifestation abilities and your imagination. It's like, this is what I want to create. And this lifetime, this embodiment of consciousness that this soul was experiencing was somewhere in the multiverse, and was in this kind of setup where they're kind of in this room, or they're on this platform of some sort, and they're practicing manifestation so that they can get better at it, so they can, when it's time to do it for real, they can really be pretty skilled and practiced at it. And they're basically creating things, and they're like, oh, it's coming, the tree's coming out with the fork sticking out of the side of it. Nope. Okay, decreate that, and now try it again. And that's what they're doing. And she goes into this experience that this soul had, and it's really fascinating. And I've always just kept that in my mind as like, this is this time that we're going through over the next 6 years, where reality is going to be super pliable, especially for those of us that are more conscious and can really create at these higher levels, keep your frequency high, do the inner work. And this is what this is really about, to really create the reality you want to live in, and the experience of your life that you want to feel and experience, the emotions you want to have, the relationships, the conversations, the partnerships. Abraham has this great exercise where they talk about, doing this, what do they call it? Segment intending, where it's like you take the next 6 hours of your day and you send love to it or send Reiki to it and envision what you want to happen. I want this positive thing to roll out in this way. And then you do the next 6 hours and the next 6 hours, or you do the week ahead, and you spend some time like, what do I want to experience? What are the feelings and the emotions I want to experience? What are some of the nice, amazing miracles and magic? And you can imagine yourself just like having your guides show you this epiphany and having some insights and having your projects work and meeting those soulmate clients and really intending your future and creating it. And so realize that this is real. This is what we're in. This is the fun we're really in. This is what we're waking up to. Here's something about the Constantinople thing. The Council of Constantinople, Istanbul. Okay, so the Council of Constantinople, something about this is that this banning of spirit, 1/3 of the Trinity, really caused this duality to spread upon the earth and go deeper into this duality. And so when we went deeper into this duality, we know that we've been living duality through separation. Okay, we live on this incarnated place, so we have to do duality through unity, and we need to do unity through diversity, not conformity, and everybody in the same little spacesuit, and so we have to really think about these important mantras to keep with us. And so I've been talking about this a lot of, okay, we're in duality, but we need to do it through unity. Okay, we're unity, but through diversity, and letting all of us be these unique selves that we are. And so this banning of spirit in 869 led to, way back, we're talking about when Saturn was in Sag at that time, this restriction on higher truth. It went into this vertical duality where there was this split into this heaven and hell. And now we were in some fucked up limbo between heaven and hell, and spirit was just taken out of the scenario. And we are healing spirit, and we're healing spirit in Turkey. And I really think that this is what this Uranus on this world point is about. I think it's going to unfold over the decades to come, and we're going to really see the unfolding of this and the healing of this ancient time. And things are changing. And that also led to another shift later of more duality, from internal and external, that divinity is outside of you and not inside of you. And this disconnection from humans, from the interconnectedness of all that is the cosmos, the fact that we're souls evolving and we incarnate into various embodiments of consciousness. Scientists are busy looking for life. Stop looking for life and look for consciousness. There's consciousness everywhere, not life. You're not going to find life in the forms that we think of it. Everything is living, rocks, trees. It's not living in the way that you think of it, but we live in a living universe. And the Indian scientists really keep that in their sphere of understanding as they go about their scientific work, where the Western scientists really have that Virgo mechanized shadow, where broken down and the soul was taken out. And this is what I talk a lot about in that Saturn in Pisces video I recommend you watching, is that in the late 1870s, Pavlov was writing to his peers saying, like, this soul thing in the scientific experiments is messing everything up. It's causing us not to be able to get duplicatable and replicable results. And we need to take this out of here and stop doing this. Well, here's the thing. If it wasn't taking soul away from the people, or if it wasn't shutting down the scientists from being able to use it if they wanted it, and if it wasn't like an authoritarian restriction on them, Saturn in Pisces. Saturn was in Pisces during this time when this happened. And so we're going into that 3-year period of Saturn in Pisces again. And we did that consciously, that could benefit us, because everything has shadow and light. Shadow and light are resolving halves of the whole, right? So it's not that dark is bad. It's just that dark in the last 5,000 years has been depravity and rape and the worst parts of human possibilities, and awful, just awful, right? We know the depravity. right? So it's like darkness could be contrast. So I really believe that in eras to come, that darkness, we probably use a different word, will just simply be contrast. It's not going to be depravity, the Scorpio South Node that we're still in until summer. And so during 1874 to 1882, there was this Pavlov, the psychologist. You probably heard of Pavlov's dog. If you've ever taken Psychology 101, you've heard of Pavlov. It's just basic. He's he's one of the psychologists that you learn about how he got a dog to start behaving by ringing a bell and doing this experiment. And so it really started psychologists to understand how trainable the mind is and programmable, and realize that in a more conscious level. And now we have everything we've had in the last couple 100 years with a lot going down behind the scenes. That's not been cool, right? So anyways, so during this time of Saturn in Pisces, we have Pavlov sending letters and writing to his peers saying, this is not working, this is messing everything up. Then you have Wundt, another psychologist and experimenter and scientist. He's the one that's like, okay, fine, we're doing this. If you want to be cited and quoted as a scientist, then you can't put the soul in your psychological and in your experimentation anymore. You can't have it be a variable or a factor. Again, they did what Constantinople did, and they made it to where it needs to be theoretical, metaphorical, symbolism, and not a real variable. And so it started taking soul to something where people stopped having it, that connection and understanding what it really was. And then we know that we live life where people don't understand symbols anymore. People are like, astrology is so arcane, it's so abstruse. And that's what I do in all of my work, is teach people how, no, you just need to match the astrological language up with what you know inside of your soul, which is symbolism and mythology and story. We were a people that passed down oral tradition and story and mythologies, and we are the ancestors to those coming behind us, and we're passing down the oral traditions to them. And we have to come back to our indigenous roots in so many ways, and all the important connections to the all that is. And we have all of these asteroids that are indigenous asteroids that are being discovered in the Kuiper Belt, that a lot of us, there's a few astrologers that are really doing deep work about that right now, that are bringing it forward, that we are reconnecting to our indigenous tribal roots of understanding our interconnectedness to all, to Venus principles, like what makes life really worth living: connection, love, pleasure, joy, reading a great book, having time to flow. One of my favorite quotes is from Richard Jefferies from 1894 that said, he said in 1894, I hope one day, man works not for bread, not merely for bread, but for their very soul. He said, I hope one day man works not merely for bread, but for their very soul. And that was in 1894, which is funny, which is right after this period that I'm talking about, where Wundt and Pavlov took the soul out of science, and it was during Saturn in Pisces. So the forces of opposition could be doing things and whatever. Here's the thing, don't get tripped up by it, because whatever restrictions we have, it's a focuser, it's a catalyzer. Saturn is a catalyzer. And so if you're connected to soul and you're paying attention to what Saturn's trying to get you focused on, which is your intuition, feeling, Pisces, healing, doing the grief work, doing the healing work, going into your subconscious to see what's in there, because that's what's creating your reality based upon your imagination and dreaming, and getting back to what makes life enjoyable and worthy. That's why Venus is exalted in Pisces. The dreaming and ceremony and the rituals and the fires, and all of us gathering around fire to tell stories and eat great food and love and hug each other and dance and be under the beautiful sky. All of these dark sky places, you can look up dark sky places and drive out to the country and sit underneath the stars and the blanket and with your people and your friends and your partners, and to do what makes life worth living, and to make art being your business, radiating your light, the transformation you get your clients, healing all of that. And so this time of 1874 to 1882 was this period of this double Venus transit of the sun. And this is, we've had some important moons that have really connected to this lately. And so this is this amazing time to really understand what this full moon is about. I'm going to go into the chart again and wrap this up here, that okay, and go to this, come on, Zoom work. Okay, and go to this full moon. Something else that's really important is we have one more full moon after this at 16 degrees. There are cycles where there'll be full moons or new moons all at the same degree for a period. And it's really fascinating to look at this, and I see the patterns, and we have to realize, what is 16? It breaks down to a 7. 7 is Neptune, 7 is Pisces, 7 is soul. So if we look at 7 being soul, and we look at, everything I've been talking about how we see the time that Pisces is healing. We're in the time of great healing. We understand the bigger threads of what we're going through as humanity. And we understand everything that's been rolling out. And we look at from October 9th of 2022, we had an Aries full moon at 16 degrees. November 8th, we had a Taurus full moon at 16 degrees. December 7th, we had a Gemini full moon at 16 degrees. Then January 6th, Cancer full moon at 16 degrees. And then February 5th, a Leo full moon at 16 degrees. And then here we are at March 7th, Virgo full moon at 16 degrees, opposite Pisces soul. And here's something that harkens to the Constantinople that I was going to show you. We have this T square on this full moon. And when you have I didn't draw this very well, but this T square to Mars, when you have a T square, you have this other part of the square, right? And so this is pointing to Sag, opposite Gemini, opposite polarity of Gemini. And so what's Sag? That Constantinople when Saturn was in Sag, and the restriction to higher truth. And so when we have a T square, we look to that other polarity to help us deal with what we're being asked to deal with by the T square, because squares are about change, challenge, provocation, do something different. Hey, you're getting provoked here. They feel challenging when we're not listening to soul, to the whispers, to our intuition, to change, to move, to do something different, to face things. It's a whisper. We don't listen to that. It's a knock. If we don't listen to that, then it's a Mack truck. And that's where Saturn can strip everything away, and it can feel really devastating. And it can feel like all of our landmarks are gone and we're confused and we don't know what's happening. So that Pisces confusion or doubt or fog is really because we're not listening and connecting inward to our own authority, Saturn, our own intuition as a woman, our own femininity, what's important to us, because we've been trained to be motivated by social belonging, not by what our heart and soul want and say. We've been told that there's rules you have to follow and you have to be polite. No, it is context, and speaking your truth and owning your no and yes is as polite as you can be to your own heart and soul. And other people being bothered by that is their internal shadow and shit that they need to face and deal with. And you are just the circumstance and their experience, the facts. You're just the facts and their experience, just like they are the facts in your experience. Everything they think about you as a fact in their experience is all of their choice and unconscious thinking, or they can start to choose to get really conscious and be like, is this serving me or not? It's kind of like if somebody says something Well, the fact is, they said, quote, word, quote. The thoughts are that I could think they're rude, or I could think they're funny. If I think they're funny, I'm just like, oh, it was funny, haha, and I'm on my way. If I think they're rude, now I'm mad and upset, and I'm creating a really negative experience for myself. And if I just happen to be triggered and feel mad and upset, well, then I need to go in and heal that. It's about something. It's not even about this situation. It's about what that situation is triggering, something deep in our psyche soul that is coming up to be healed. Triggers are about what you're ready as a soul to heal and evolve through and get those gifts. Get those gifts. So after this Virgo 16-degree full moon, we are going to have a Libra 16-degree full moon, and then they're going to move off that 16-degree mark. But this is seven soul full moons at 7 degrees, 16 degrees, that breaks down to a 7. Soul. The multiverse is speaking loudly to us. All the signs and symbolism that are within your soul. And my guides just are like, yes, this is what it is. My guides are all just like, when I said that, like, the multiverse is really speaking loud to us. So I'm hoping to be this translator to you so that you can get this message and take it into your life. To be fully armed is not the right word, but you get what I mean. To be fully having this download and this information, because this full moon is a big deal. It's no joke that this is about healing this old Constantinople time where we went into deeper duality and, these ideas of heaven and hell split, and we lost the Trinity and we lost spirit. And then later we lost soul and went into the shadow Virgo, which was the mechanization, which if we would have done it consciously, that would be one thing, but not doing it consciously, it separated the people from soul and from their own divinity and from their own authority. That Saturn going into Pisces right after this full moon. So what is a full moon? A full moon is always in opposition to the sun. It's always a big illumination, a peeking out of the moon cycle that goes through, the new moon, the dark moon, to waxing up to the full moon and that peak, to waning to that balsamic, where it's like going through the dark night of the soul a little bit each month, to that dark moon, new seeds, completion, endings and beginnings, and visioning for the next phase. And so the sun in Pisces, of course, opposite, Virgo, that Pisces Virgo polarity, all about healing. Pisces Virgo is about healing. It's about the tangible and intangible, and how one does not, it's the intangible soul does not evolve without being embodied and incarnated. It doesn't get that soul evolution. It doesn't do anything. It's not provoked in any way. It's just out there floating around in full, completeness with divinity, with all that is, with the multiverse, just joined to the greater whole of all. It's great and happy and sanguine, it's not, so it has to go get embodied somewhere in the multiverse to start having provocation to evolve, to experience things. It's like, if you want the greater point of all of existence, there you go, to the best that we can conceive of it right now. And so it can't evolve or do anything with itself, spirit Pisces, without tangible incarnation, form, embodiment. Virgo being an earth sign, about embodiment, consciousness embodied. And so it's this embodiment, and the embodiment, the tangible, the incarnation, that most people in the general population put as first, because of what happened when Saturn was in Pisces in the 1870s, when Pavlov and Wundt got together and took the soul out of science. And then go back, hearken to Constantinople, and when Saturn was in Sag and we took away the higher truths of what we knew, it's that the tangible is animated by the intangible soul and spirit. And going into the difference between spirit and soul, it's a rabbit hole. So another time, but it's so amazing what's happening. what we're doing. And then, like, if you've been watching these videos, you know that we've been having all these 1 degree new moons. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit and understand that really well. So if you know, if you're in the Goddess Retreat, or if you're listening to the podcast, which the new episodes will start coming out again, and I just had needed to take a break, but those will be coming out again. So if you've been listening to some of the podcast episodes, something I want to say about that is realize that most of the early episodes, the first like 300 episodes, were not astrology episodes. They are about being a woman, the spiritual journey, running your business on your intuition, dealing with emotions, how to reprogram your mind and your beliefs to up level, how to get greater visibility, and about money and making money as a woman and having power with money. So this podcast is deep and rich and full of thousands of dollars worth of free coaching for free, sitting there in iTunes and Spotify right for you. There's a link below this video. So know that I would use the wealth of all of those podcast episodes when you're driving in the car or cleaning the house or whatever. You can put those on and really support yourself with all of that free coaching there and free information there. So, but there'll be new episodes coming out soon. But what are these full moons about all at 16 degrees, 7 degrees? Or what are these new moons that are all about at the 1 degree mark? This pattern that's happening. It's about where I teach that this 12 signs are these deep archetypes. I really encourage you to stop thinking about signs as like, oh, my best friend Katie, or oh, this person Joe. Like, think about the signs as these deep archetypes that tell you all this information about life. And obviously, if you listen to these videos, you'll start to cultivate this understanding of the signs. Really think about it like cooking. Like, you know how to make a stir fry, then you add another recipe, then you add another recipe, and you start to see the pattern of how you can kind of make your own dish and how you can put together these things from these 3 recipes you knew of to kind of make your own thing. And you start to understand the archetypes, the 12 signs, as areas of life to master, that you have them all in your chart, that they are all of life, and that it helps you understand life as a whole when you understand the 12 signs and you start to begin to look at it in this way, that these 7 moons from Aries to Libra means that we have been 7 soul redoing this archetype to now have it be motivated based on soul, driven by soul, weeding out the things that were not as soul. That's why this Leo full moon has been this birth canal. Everything that was not of soul had to go. That's why that was so hard. Like, when you've had if you look through these last full moons from Aries to Libra, back from October of last year to coming up April 5th. And if you look at all these full moons and you go back and look at them, and you start to see like, wow, what did I go through? How did I upgrade? What wasn't serving me? Why was it so hard? Because I was so attached to this idea or this identity, or so attached to this old way of being, or what I felt made me feel secure. The harder it is, the more we either didn't know what was soul or what was real, or the harder things we had to heal, or trying to figure out how to heal, or what to do, what to dig into, whatever, or it just felt hard and challenging. And so all these new moons, if you think about all these new moons we've went through, that we had this pattern from September of 2018 to April of 2019, that we went through an Aries and Taurus new moon at 1 degrees. The Aries was conjunct Chiron at 0 degrees retrograde, September 24th, 2018. So you can look back and think about that time. 1 degree is new beginning, Aries, new beginning. This is a zodiacal new year. And so it's really that 0 degree mark, but 1 degree. And so it's like that archetype of Aries, our identity, our ego, our autonomy and sovereignty, our life force to go make things happen and take action in the world, our belief that we can do it, we can make it, and life's worth it, and there's something to fight for, and fighting for the underdog, and and that spiritual warrior. And so that archetype was what we were handling and beginning a new beginning. And that October 24th, 2018, Taurus 1 degree new moon, conjuncting Uranus at 0 degrees retrograde, where Uranus was coming into Taurus at 0 degrees, but it was at, had been there for a bit and was at that retrograde mark. And there's these patterns, and Uranus and Taurus is like upsetting the status quo and saying, oh, we're not doing this anymore, and it's awakening the feminine, Taurus. And so we had that new moon. And then in November of 2018, the Gemini new moon at 0 degrees. December 2018, the Cancer new moon at 0 degrees. January 2019, Leo new moon at 0 degrees. And February 2019, Virgo 0 degree new moon. March 2019, Libra 0 degree new moon. April 2019, Libra new moon 29 degrees. 2 new moons in Libra. That was, I remember, working with the astrology at that time, and it's like, we have 2 Libra new moons, 0 degrees and 29 degrees. That's not common. And so it's like, oh, we're hitting the alpha and the omega, and also the Aries to Libra, Aries Libra axis, the self and the relationship, the me and the other, the how I relate. But am I a sovereign being in relationships and with other people? And in my relationships, am I a unique identity and an individuated self? So that Aries Libra polarity. Here's the thing, where the nodes are shifting this summer, and we're going into an Aries North node and a Libra South node. And so the Libra shadow is going to be churning up in the collective, all the relationship stuff, not being autonomous, codependency, putting others before yourself, being fair to everyone but you, doing everything for everybody else, saying no, yes, when you want to say no, not speaking up, not owning your no and yes, all Aries stuff, Aries North node. We're going to be asked to step into the power of that Aries and to do those things. And so we have been really preparing for this, the nodal change that's coming up this summer in July. And so, also the Libra shadow is also the something that's really important that I want to speak right now is also where we are that social belonging. It's all about social belonging and how that has motivated us. That's what we were conditioned to be motivated for. Partly because of the reptile animalistic brain that's like, oh my God, I'm going to be exiled and then I won't survive and I won't be okay. And it means death. So let me at least fit in with somebody, even if it's an abuser. Also, as a woman, our society is systemically set up that if you're a woman and you don't have people or you don't have money, you don't really make it. So as a woman, this is a really big deal, what we're healing right now at massive levels. That's why Lilith is so prominent. And so we're getting prepared for that. And so now we've had all of these new moons at the 1 degree mark since late last year, 2022 into 2023. And then we're going to have the 0 degrees Aries new moon, where they've been at 1 degrees. Now we're going to move into a 0 degrees new moon. So Aries is the zodiacal new year. So the new year is not January. It's Aries season, life force, the beginning, the bursting into life, springtime. We come out of the fallow field. We come out of the winter, the internal, the looking inward, the healing, the doing all of that. And now we're ready to begin. We have energy, motivation, fresh, and also finally Mars is getting the hell out of that shadow. It's not, and then on the 20, and then it'll finally move into Cancer on the 25th. It's still going to be out of bounds until May 4th, but but we're going to finally get out of this Gemini Mars holy fuck thing. Oh my gosh. 7 months, 7 months. Mars doesn't stay in a sign that long. It's only with the retrograde season. So it's a big deal when Mars retrogrades and all that, the 7 months of Gemini. We've been rewiring the masculine, rewiring our mental patterns, our ways we respond to things, cutting away Mars of the old patterns that don't serve us, of the old ways we think, the old perspectives, the old wounded ways we're seeing things, the old traumatic responses and reactions. That's what the 7 months has been about. And so this Virgo full moon is this polarity of the Pisces Virgo, this illumination. So it will highlight where you're at with this stuff. And this is transcendence, because everything I've been saying about bringing soul back, I mean, reconnected to the Trinity, healing these old wounds about how some external authority or power took from the people, our connection to all that is, the programming, and realize that people are being, people that are not in their sovereignty or have yet to awaken or what have you. It's like, it's through programming, it's through the brainwashing, it's through the media, and that's Neptune, that's the projection Neptune. It's through external so-called authorities. We have to wake back up into our own authority. That's why everything I went through about all of this Aries, the wound, the challenge that I went through at the beginning, that's why it's so important, because Aries is our sovereignty. And then we move into that Aries North Node in summer. This is a big, long journey that we're on. And I hope you've seen what I've been working to show you in this video, is this big, long journey of how we're healing and starting new beginnings and ending old completions of old patterns and wounds and traumas and ways. I hope I've showed you this in this video, and that you can really understand how we are becoming leaders amongst leaders and sovereign and autonomous within ourselves, and how that's very challenging, provoking, and how there's so much healing we are doing to do that, and how this Aries is this healing of an external authority, Saturn, telling us, the white coat, the PhD, the certified person, supposedly knowing better than our own soul knows. This whole idea in the collective that, like, we have to have these regulating bodies because these illiterate people can't take care of themselves. No, you have your inner knowing, you have your wisdom, you have your truth, you are connected to divinity and soul and spirit. And you are connected to the greater field of consciousness and all that is, and you have access to that. And it is only a reawakening to the truth, a remembering, a reconnecting to that truth. This is this big full moon. This is so big, so big. This illumination of this. This is so big. I just can't even express it enough. This is gigantic, powerful moments. This is such a massive month and a massive moon. This is so much transcendence. We are transcending all of these disconnections from the truth and soul and spirit and who we really are. And we're remembering our true selves, and all of our gifts are coming online, and this is a reclamation of our power, particularly as women. And this T squared that Sag just talked about, and this semi-square to Lilith. Lilith is so prominent just everywhere in the last year, is so prominent because she is how women were demonized for standing up for equality and the feminine, or were made to be unsafe. So then they went to go ahead and be subservient because they wouldn't be safe and survive and be okay. And so it's like this succumbing, this submitting our power for survival. And Lilith is like, no more standing up in the feminine light, Leo the light, Lilith the feminine, standing up in that feminine light and bringing your light your heart. We have to bring more heart, compassion, love, understanding, and clarity to the collective, and be the leaders and help them to understand the bigger themes, what we're going through, and understanding what's happening here. Okay. On this full moon, this trine to Uranus, the world point, sitting there hanging out, and the 3D and what's all going out there, and don't be, stay in your vibration, your frequency, stay true to your healing and your path and your journey. And this trine is saying that there's just so much healing of your of what your truth and what and your connection and everything they've been talking about. Okay. What else is really important is that this full moon happens at 6:40 a.m. on the 7th of March. Then what happens after that is dun dun dun, Saturn moves into Pisces. And so that happens at 7:34 a.m. So not even an hour later, Saturn moves into Pisces. Saturn is a crystallizer. Saturn is the collective society, the reality. But here's the thing about Saturn and Pisces is again, what I'm talking about is our reality is going to be so malleable, so much possibility to like, okay, we created a manifestation. I really don't want this after all. Oh, I didn't do that good. Oh, I didn't go in and do the healing. I was just trying to, I was on autopilot. Whoops, let me deconstruct and reconstruct. So Saturn in Pisces, we're going to have so much more ability to not have forms be so crystallized and stuck. This is a 6-year period of Saturn, with Saturn's not going to be the strongest. Neptune's going to be stronger, and Saturn's a Neptune sign. And so, and Saturn and Neptune are going to be doing some stuff together for this 6-year period of Saturn in Pisces for 3 years, and then moving into Aries, and then Neptune's going to move into Aries. And so there's going to be this interesting thing happening where we're have this chance to really recreate reality and raise frequency and change and everything, your dreams. And this is real. This is amazing. This is fun. So all this Pisces energy, there might be grief to face, the subconscious stuff coming up, the challenges and all of that, but realize what I said in the beginning. I really talked about it at length. I'm not going to go into it again. It's the journey. And so the Saturn in Pisces is this new 3-year cycle of Saturn. It's going to move up to 7 and then retrograde back to 0. And so it's going to be in this 0 to 7 degree area. And so now we've got this new Saturn and this big shift. And so we had that full moon, and then bam, Saturn moves into Pisces, saying, this is what, we're focusing on. Saturn is saying, hey, focus over here on what? Pisces, soul. Focus on soul. Focus on soul. People want to focus on the tangible, the reality, the shadow. Virgo, the details, the schedules, and gotta run around and get all this stuff done. Mars is still in Gemini, and be overly stimulated and in your head. And Saturn saying, focus, people, focus, or it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging if you don't focus on what you're meant to focus on, which is your intuition, soul, right brain, emotions, feeling your way through life instead of thinking your way through life and figuring your way through life. Feel your way through life, intuit your way through life. Humanity is changing into a species that instead of being mind dominant is going to be feeling and intuition dominant. And this is our evolution as humanity. This is what my guides tell people all the time in sessions and bring forward. And I have conversations with them about this a lot. What else is important? A couple of last things here. And just realize that, that hijacking that happened, we are healed. That's what we're healing. We're healing that hijacking of spirit and soul and that disconnection from the truth and from us to that I am. The Sanskrit, we have the saying, I am that I am, right? Looking out there. So then I'm going to go just a little bit beyond this full moon, and then I'll get into the sun sign horoscopes. Let's go into the 10th. The 10th, we're going to have this conjunction of Jupiter to Chiron. And again, we're talking Aries themes. So identity, your sovereignty, your autonomy, your ability to take action, your life force energy, and belief. Aries is a unicorn of the zodiac. It gets knocked down, it gets back up. It gets knocked down, it gets back up. It believes. It's like, hey, let's go start something. I believe, let's do it. We have to have that archetype in the world, or nothing would ever, there would be no, it would be that no first instigation, the match lit, the fire, the spark. And the match lit is that symbolism for what? For your light, for your spark and inspiration and happiness and fervor and motivation and determination to go. It's like Aries is the motivation, and then it moves into Taurus, which is the determination to keep going and the resolve. And then Gemini is the communicating it. And then Cancer is the securing of it. And then Leo is the let's show it all to the people. And then Virgo is the mastery of it. And then we take it, we help the people with it, and we serve the people. And then Libra, and on and on and on around the zodiac. So this conjunction here, again, healing. What's Jupiter? We're healing our beliefs and our story. So old programming, old beliefs, old wound story and trauma stories and so forth. However, Jupiter's an expander. So it's expanding the wound. So the wound's going to be in your face, and it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be big, and it's going to feel really intense. And so people at the 3D level are going to be super stressed out and not even knowing why, because they're not doing that inner work, and they're not really awake to the things that are going on, these bigger themes we've been talking about. And so you just kind of forget what's going on. You don't have to take on anybody's stuff. Let them be on their own timelines, and you focus on what you need to focus on to keep that frequency high. Do your healing and do your big light work in the world. Do your big light goddess work in this world. And so it can be intense and in your face, but don't deny it, and use your tools. And like, this is the time to step on stage with everything you've been doing all these years, everything all the things you've learned. This is the time to use everything you've done your whole life, the books you've read and the workshops you went through, and all the things was like as if you were in a video game, and you were picking up the green puff ball and the fire flame and the coins, and you're putting your all in your spiritual gig bag. So when the time came and you had these moments of super intensity and the wounds are hitting you and stuff's being triggered, you pull out your spiritual gig bag and use your tools, use what you have. And if you don't have great ones, come into Alchemical Goddess, my coaching program. You can book a free complimentary goddess call to apply for that, or to inquire and have the discussion about that on my website at thegoddessastrologer.com. And so know that healing is this big theme of this month, the full moon in that Pisces Virgo axis, right? So we're healing what? Spirit and soul being stripped away from matter, so that trinity being disrupted, and that hijacking of truth, higher truth. So also, okay, here's some big news too. I'll share this, and then realize that I go over all the details daily on my TikTok channel. So it's TikTok at The Goddess Astrologer, and I go into daily astrology updates. every single day. So know what you need to know to keep your vibe high, to keep your frequency up, to keep happy and knowledgeable and understanding the bigger themes and energies, so you can remind yourself like, yes, okay, face the healing, use my tools. I keep you updated on what's going on today. What are the planets trying to provoke within us for us to face and handle and do, so that you can have that information. And so you can go to my TikTok daily and get that info. And then on March 15th, finally, Mars is moving out of shadow. Dun, dun, dun. So Mars will move out of shadow. This is going to help quite tremendously with everything that has been going on with this 7-month Mars story, of everything I talked about earlier, went over it. And so you can look back to September 6th, 3rd or 6th, I think, and October 30th, and basically from September 6th, but October 30th was a big time too. And you can look back from then into now and to see what's your Mars story, what happened for you, what did you cut away, what old patterns came up, what was the confuckery and the technology and the things and all the data points. And so we're going to have a lot less Mars issue, but the real beautiful thing is March 25th, Mars is finally going to get out of Gemini. Hallelujah. And Mars isn't strong in Cancer, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Let's do it. So it's weak in Cancer, but let's get out of that Gemini. So March 25th. But before that, Pluto will have went into Aquarius. So again, we'll talk about all this later, but let's get into the Sun Sign Horoscopes. So this was a big download. I hope this helps you. I hope it's been super fun. This was really fun for me to do. If you like this video and this information and the things that I'm bringing to you here, please like this video. It really helps with the metrics and getting this out to more people, because it's really amazing to bring this through. But I'd really love if more people could have access to this information. It's coming through, it's channeling for a reason, so that people can have this information, so we as women can change this world and radiate our light and help people to heal, get into that higher frequency, get onto that 5D plane. We women need to come together and support each other, love each other, help this collective, so that the men can step into their sacred masculine. We need to make it a safe place for men to be safe and not be in that patriarchal confuckery anymore, hurting women from that internalized patriarchy that it's internalized. But how do they heal? And women are going to be the hinge pin that changes things and makes it safe for men to be safe. So this is important work we're doing, coming together as women and dealing with our superiority, inferiority issues, the internalized competitiveness, and the wounds that we're healing wherever you are at on your own individual journey there. So thank you so much for sharing this video. If you subscribe, then you'll easily get all of the videos popping up in your feed. They might not pop up in your feed, but when you search for them every new moon and full moon, they'll be right there, and that way you can find them easy. Also, if you subscribe, I'm going to be putting out a show soon with interviews of amazing people about the awakening journey and what we're going through and these bigger themes, so you can have lots of information to work with that might be inspiring or helping you bring through your amazing genius, or find other people out in the world to know you're not alone. We're all together in this collective, and to be supported in that way. So I hope you'll subscribe, and just so happy you're here. My heart is so full with you all here, and the beautiful comments and all of that. And so again, you can find me over at TikTok. You can book an astrology reading at thegoddessastrologer.com. And if you need help on this healing journey and want to finally get out of the shadow and the shit and the triggers and the past life karma and all the stuff, and upgrade to your highest level of being a badass in this world, then you can apply for my coaching program. That's one-on-one coaching. And it's called Alchemical Goddess, where I do astrological shamanic coaching. It's my own creation, where I've scoured the earth for the real techniques that actually work. Out of thousands of modalities and techniques out there, what are the real techniques that work? And I've scoured the earth and I've found them. And that's what we do in coaching. And it is the transformation of a lifetime. And you will upgrade into your highest expression of yourself and have tools with you for the rest of your life that are priceless. So you can do all of that over at thegoddessastrologer.com. I'm going to get into the Sun Sign Horoscopes now. All right, we'll get into share. Do this again. Share screen. Am I sharing the screen? You are screen sharing the screen. Okay. There we go. All right. Gosh, everything's in the way. All right, Aries. So Aries for you. This full moon is happening in your 12th house, 6th house axis. The full moon is in your 6th house. Excuse me. Being the first sign of the zodiac, it's always in the pure house. So schedules, routines, your life force energy, your lifestyle. This is big questions about how do you really want to live, and how were you told that you were supposed to, or what do you think you have to? What programmings are you under? What programs have you been healing and releasing? And so this is really a cleaning up and a getting to know what you are creating. So the 6th house is all about the lifestyle that you really want to live, because it's schedules and it's routines, and it is healing in the body and health. And it's also the amazing relationship between the teacher and the one that's taught, whether that's aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews, or whether that's the mentor and the mentee, or the apprentice and the sage. All those types of learning through other people, our elders and the granddaughters. So it's just this, and it's you being in that role. It's self-mastery, and it's taking it to the people. So this is really illuminating, how are you stepping into your self-mastery and claiming that and owning that, and what healing is it taking? And Mercury is talking to you about what healing it's taking. It's bubbling up from within. It's asking you to be in your intuition, to be driven from your intuition, not the mind, not the left brain. And it's this, like, are you facing the grief? Are you facing the subconscious shit? What's in your subconscious? Is that the reality you want to create? And got the card, cut the cords of doubt. This has come up for you, Aries, a couple of times. I can't remember which moons, but I recall this coming up several times for you now, Aries. So what is the doubt? Remember, like I've been teaching the last 2 videos about the gene keys and the doubt. Doubt and confusion cause us to do the self-inquiry. The self-inquiry alone is a gift, because we're learning, we're growing, we're getting clarity. And then the gift of doing that inquiry leads us to some personal truth and wisdom for ourselves. So don't let yourself sit in the doubt. Catch the doubt. The doubt will make you not take action, stand in your value, and put yourself out in the world and do your projects, gain more visibility, step into your confidence, think that you have your own authority and knowledge and gifts to give the world. That doubt will make you behave that way. So you have to catch that doubt, or catch the behavior and say, this is what's up for me. How do I shift this pattern? and you shift it by releasing doubt, and there's tools and techniques to do that really work, and really doing that inquiry and understanding why do you think that you're not good enough? What wound is that about? You know, what needs to shift there? And so Saturn moving into your 12th house. Sorry. That's all I can say. Saturn's finally getting out of my 12th house. Fuck yes. That's all I can say about Saturn in your 12th house. Let's pull you a card for that. Here's the thing about Saturn. I talked about this early in the video. Saturn strips away everything that's not a soul. But since we don't always know what isn't authentically us sometimes, or we're under illusions and programs sometimes, or wounds and traumas and so forth, that's why it feels so devastating or feels so isolating, or because Saturn isolates us in ways, or sometimes takes away the really wonderful good things about our life that are meant to be a part of our life, because we're not doing the internal look. We're not doing the self-inquiry that it takes. And Saturn's saying, hey, I whispered to you. Hey, I knocked on the door. Well, now you get the Mack truck of the total health issue crisis, or the job loss, or the everybody's gone and dying, or whatever it is. So this is what it is with Saturn in 12. So let me pull you a card for Saturn in 12 specifically. What wants to come up? This card is hiding. Do you want to come up or not? Okay, this card wants to come up for this, and it's saying accept and receive in a self-care message, meaning that are you able to magnetize to you and attract to you, meaning that it's about the embodiment and worthiness and standing in your truth, but it's also about just the lowest levels of things, like being comfortable with the acknowledgement, the attention, and the energies. There's a lot to standing in this place of having that attention upon you. A compliment, for example, do you let that wash over you and really lets people compliment you completely and fully? This card came out too. Overrate your intuition. So this full moon opposite your 12th house and Saturn moving into your 12th house, it's a overrate your intuition, meaning are you really listening to your intuition as what you run your life from, what drives your life, the intuited information, or are you driving it from trying to figure it out in your head? And this is just couldn't be more important. The other thing, so Saturn is going to strip away what you need stripped away to help connect you to your gifts. That's that 12th house, the gifts, your psychic abilities, your intuition, your connection to your guides, the soul, the multiverse source, to heal the subconscious wounds and past life karma and shit. So it's a big 3 years you got ahead of you of that. And it's about having the tools, and it's about having real tools that work. It's about feeling emotions. Don't stuff them down, face them, feel them. This is a big time, 3 years of healing for you. And it's a deep dive. And this full moon is big, and really owning your self-mastery. So there's a lot here, Aries. All right, I hope that helps you. Taurus. So this the other thing, Aries, lastly, the other thing lastly is to realize that there's gifts from this ending of Aquarius. So what are all the gifts from this 11th house Aquarius, from all that you've learned of connecting and connecting with friends and community and your audience based on vibration? and running your business with your audience based on vibe and frequency instead of old paradigm ways. And what are the gifts that you're retrieving right now? Because this is a time to retrieve all the gifts from Saturn in the last 3 years. That how have you been catalyzed? How have you grown in this area, in the Aquarius area of life? So, all right, Taurus. Saturn is moving into your 11th house, Taurus, and getting out of your 10th. And this has been a big Aquarius time in your 10th house of all of this learning about everything 10th house stuff. So it could be 3 years of your business. It could be in relation to other people and frequency. And it's Saturn, so challenges and learning. Saturn's a teacher. So you're catalyzing, it was your catalyst in your business the last 3 years, or with your reputation, and is that based on soul and frequency, or keep up the Joneses and how I look to other people and social belonging, right? And what's motivating that, and this legacy of yourself, your reputation, who you are, how you're seen in the world, taking up space in the world. So you're getting the gifts of the last 3 years of learning how to take up space in the world, take up real estate, say, I'm here, I matter, this is who the fuck I am, and if it triggers you, it triggers you. If people leave, people get upset. I own the space. I deserve here to be here. I belong here. All of those types of themes and so forth is what the gifts that you're retrieving right now. And then also this full moon is this Pisces Virgo axis of your 11th, 5th house. So that 5th house, this full moon Virgo self-mastery in the area of Leo themes, which is romance, love, and children, and being on stage, your own belief that you matter, that your work matters, that your gifts matter, that you have something, you have gifts and you have offerings to bring the world, everything that you've been through. Where do you stand with this? Because this full moon could be the biggest illumination of your confidence and self-assurity and belief in yourself and your self-possession and ability to be fully embodied and the amazingness of who you are, your gifts, and bringing that out into the world and standing on stage and owning that, speaking, higher visibility, bringing your light to the world, a mastery of your light, a mastery of being in your heart and having the vulnerability that's a part of that, being able to be fine with people not understanding you. This is a big thing. So Saturn is going to be moving into your 11th. So it's going to be 3 years of learning how to be okay with people not getting you, people not understanding you, people being triggered, people, leaving, people misunderstanding you, blaming you, all of those things. So that's what's coming up for the next 3 years. Saturn in your 11th, it's going to be a big learning and growth and a catalyzing of this higher octave of connecting to people based on this next level of frequency and vibe, and really meeting soul family and tribe and learning all the ins and outs of all of that. So it's really going to be this evolution of community in your audience based on soul and manifesting what you want with people, friends, groups, collaborations, your leading of groups, and with your audience and your business at the highest level of soul. That's what's this 3 years is about. And then this full moon is really like healing and grief around people. There could be that coming up. There could be a lot of, this full moon might be challenging with those types of things unless you know what it is. And it's going to be healing grief, subconscious issues around people problems, friendships, groups, connections, disconnections, people not understanding you, getting you, liking you, triggered by you, blaming you, anything related to past lives, or this life with all of that. But this is this self-mastery and this illumination and this time to step up and claim your amazingness in this area of your life, that you matter and what you're here to do, your big light and your genius matters, and it's time to bring it to the world. And the next upgrade, next level, it's not saying that you're not already doing that, but it's this illumination of this next level that you're ready for. And pull you some cards, Taurus. Lead your metamorphosis. So don't let things happen to you and circumstances run you and you just being reacting to it all the time and treading water and swimming. You lead the journey, create it, own your own healing, take responsibility and focus, take the reins of your healing and your journey, and the tools that are needed and the perspectives that you entertain that you are under as you live your life, instead of just responding. Really understand, and I talked a lot in this video, I hope that really helps you to have some of these bigger threads of what's happening in the world and with humanity. You got the card the now, and it's upright, saying that present moment, meditation, quieting your mind, getting into the stillness. It's so important. It cannot be emphasized enough just how important that is. Whether it's regroupings, little 5-minute regroupings along the day to collect yourself, some breathing, whatever techniques help you, moving meditation, walking, but also regular meditation as well, that helps you get your frequency up when you meditate. And then you got the sacred flow of yes and a self-care message, saying that I think you're really denying the gifts that are left, right, and everywhere. Is listening to intuition instead of trying to figure it out, and really being in that place of being in the joy and that higher frequency, and creating that you're living this life, that I'm creating this, I'm gonna own this life and create it. And part of that is the healing work. All right, Taurus, I hope that helps you. Gemini. Gemini, this Saturn gifts that you're retrieving from Saturn leaving Aquarius in your 9th house is that higher truth, the higher understanding, getting rid of the dogma, getting rid of the programs from other people, getting rid of the dogmatic ways like have tos, and the I know it all, and the superiority issues, big superiority issue lessons the last 3 years. And if you didn't get that smackdown and that message, it's been hard. Lost people, issues, challenges, problems. Superiority issues are about the inferiority we feel deep down, insecurities, and it could be so past life stuff. So particularly if you have like Sag Moon or Sag South Node, and other placements. So really, this is the big gifts of that higher truth, higher knowing, being on stage, being the expert, owning your expertise, knowing you're a sage and a guru. And Mark Twain says that traveling is fatal to ignorance, because it's like when we travel and expand, we get that under those perspectives and those higher understandings of like, oh my God, there's this big life out there and all of these ways to see it and do it and look at it, that there's not one way and there's not one truth. And so those are these amazing gifts that you're retrieving of really claiming your expertise and stepping into the ownership of yourself as worldly in a way to say it. So knowledgeable, so vast amounts of knowledge and ability to channel and connect to the higher reaches of the multiverse to draw that down to you. This full moon is in your tree of life axes, which is about your deep roots and sense of security and belonging and safety, and emotional mastery and ability to alchemize emotions, which is taking these emotions, retrieving the power, the messages, and the healing and the learning, and the wisdom of that. And then this Pisces 10th house of your business, grieving any losses or shifts or changes with your business that's coming up for you, with your reputation, your sense of taking up space and claiming ownership in this world as a woman, visibility, how people see you, your legacy, building something big to be remembered for your soul for eons. It's like, what did I do here in this incarnation, this big time, with this massive shift back to the light? And this full moon is illuminating self-mastery and healing in the 4th house of your roots and family and home and security and belonging in your emotional seascape. And where are you at with that? And so definitely looking at how is there this integration between the tangible and the intangible? Is your security based only on tangible externals? Or is your security based on you knowing that if I was naked, but in the middle of Australia, I can make it. I can figure it out and I can do it, right? So maybe not ideal, but so that's what this is about. Saturn's moving into your 10th house. So it's moving into that Pisces of 3 years and that 10th house of this time of Pisces themes, soul, manifesting the business that you want, doing any healing work on old past life stuff. And this is really about imagining and dreaming and flowing and intuiting and being motivated in your business and doing your business all from the feminine, from flow, from feeling what feels good, what doesn't, dreaming and imagining and creating and manifesting in this area of your life, taking up space in the world from the motivation of soul. So let's pull some cards for you, Gemini. You are light, really remembering the light within yourself, getting out of that left brain and out of the head, and out of the mentaling, figuring, calculating, debating, deliberating, and understanding the power of the mind to reflect and to contemplate, where you're letting something rattle around your consciousness, to integrate it, to soak it up. Our brain often takes 8 passes at something. The conscious mind needs to connect to the rest of us, to our inner knowing. The conscious mind often takes some different exercises to let it be okay. It sometimes needs to walk that linear trail, but remember what the core is. Remember your light. Remember that spark within you, that you're this inspiration to the rest of the collective, that you're meant to radiate your big light and to shine. And that sometimes the moths are attracted to that. Sometimes there's the challenge of the energies. Are you energetically protecting yourself and have that skill set? Are you up leveling your skills as you're getting more sensitive and more aware? You got fearless expression, and there's a microphone. It's in this self-protection message saying that you're holding back in certain ways because of fear, afraid of social belonging issues, how you'll look, old wounds. Why are you holding back, and how can you shift that? How can you shift that? How can you believe in yourself? Where do you not feel legitimate or safe? You have external validation. This is what it's about. Remember this tree of life, that it can't come from the externals. Security and comfort has to come from the inside. So discomfort is the price you're going to pay for the big dream. So not from external validation, Gemini. All right. Let's do that. Cancer. All right, Cancer. The gifts from Saturn in Aquarius, in your eighth house, sex, taxes, your connection to the occult, the invisible, behind the scenes, your psychic gifts, your intuition, that knowing, that feminine knowing, that attraction, that magnetization, the metaphysical, what's beyond. You know, the eighth house is that house of the underworld, and what's underground, what's hidden, what's depraved, what's difficult to fall. So it's that house that's so full of psychic abilities and the rest of what's happening. And so it's been this big catalyzing of your gifts and intuition and your knowing and your sensitivity to all of that, and learning how to work with it, learning the tools, figuring it out, maybe the difficulties and the sadness and the wounds, maybe, you know, talked out of your intuition when you were a kid, or told you weren't right, reconnecting to your intuition, dealing with other people's money and money issues and client issues and things like that over the last years. Just really learning, is it coming from soul? Is it coming from a high frequency and based on vibe? Or is it based on old paradigm stuff? Are you being authentic in this area? And anything that wasn't, you know, was stripped away or was poked at and stimulated. You know, you were focused here for the last 3 years. And there's all these gifts to retrieve of your understandings and your wisdom and that connection to your psychic abilities and gifts. And so your understandings of the intangible and the mysteries, and, you know, magnetizing money to you and investments, and really that connection to your sexual power and sensuality, and perhaps, you know, a great lover, or learning a lot sexually about yourself, or reclaiming your sexual power, or the positive sexual story. Because very few women in the world have a trail of a positive sexual story. It's a trail littered with abuse, and the parents never teaching or talking about it right, and secrets and taboo and perversion and the objectification, sexualization of women, suppression, and all of this shit. So we are rewiring healthy sensuality and sexuality back into our systems and our nervous systems and our bodies and our yonis as women and our narratives, and reconnecting it to the sacred again. So this was this 3 years. And what are the gifts of this, what you've learned? This full moon is this 3rd house, 9th house axis, publishing, intellectual property, creating, the mind, higher learning and understanding, being the sage, being the guru, being the expert in your business, in your life, standing, claiming your leadership, claiming your expertise. No one dons you with the certification, the expertise, the white coat. Anybody that gets their authority from there, that's false authority from external places, that's not truly yours and owned by you. So anybody that bases it on their PhD, it's actually whether you claim it from within you. And this full moon is highlighting self-mastery and healing in this 3rd house of trusting your mind, working with the 2 areas of your mind, their left brain that just regurgitates, but is also a receiver and transmitter, and that right brain that is connected to all that is, and is the channeler and the guide to yourself, that connection to your higher self soul and your feminine knowing and your intuitive wisdom and instinctual wisdom and nature and knowing. And so it's this big illumination about this. And this full moon could be challenging or not, depending on how connected and how much you are with that part of things. This is really about embodying this, embodying your soul and your higher self and your instinctual nature in your mind, embodying the stories that you want to live in the future, embodying those narratives and those ways of thinking. Realize everything you're thinking, you're going to live it in the future. So do you want to keep living in the future what you're thinking right now? So think about that on a daily basis. Like, is what I'm thinking all day long and telling these stories to my friends what I want to keep creating and living in the future? So it's something to really get a hold of. A lot of healing and things are taking place in that ninth house of standing in your expertise, believing in yourself, connecting to the higher all that is, the higher truths of the multiverse, and your connection to that and your ability to download that information and to have access to that in a given time. And Saturn's moving into your ninth house. So it's going to be 3 years of Pisces in your ninth house, all about this catalyzing of you standing as an expert and a leader in the world, teacher, teaching, guiding, leading, and focusing. Saturn's focusing you here, you teaching and guiding and leading from soul, teaching about soul and our connection to that, and about the light and about these things. So in whatever way that looks like for you. All right, Cancer. You have Creator Earth in a protection self-care message saying to really get grounded and embodied. And so with this being in your third house, it's saying like too much in the mind, not enough embodied in your body, which is the only way you can hear your actual intuition and what your soul has to say. As if you're grounded and connected to your body as a woman, because when you're out of it, you can't hear it. And we are out of our bodies as a woman because of trauma, wounds, because it feels safe in the head, because that's how we're trained, because being in our body might mean pain from a health issue, or it might mean having to deal with all the emotions that need to be healed and released and dealt with. That might be why you're not going into your body. What wants to come up for Cancer? So you got light in the unexpected places in a protection message. So to me, it sounds, it's just, there's this big feeling of depression, sadness, anger, hurt, a lot of the being in the wound. So really step out of that victim place, that because the victim is a funky thing, because it's not like you're like saying, yeah, let me be a victim. It's this place of disempowerment because of things that really happened to you. But realize that the light comes in all of these places right around the corner. Your soul is trying to lead you around all the obstacles. There are so many good things for you everywhere. You have to kind of get out of that expecting the worst and being in that disempowered place and really claim the ownership of your healing journey. And emotions are meant to be felt and released, not stored up. And emotions are what keep that story going in the wrong way. Raw intention, but also in a self-care message of like really getting real about what you want and that you're creating it. So I hope this helps you, Cancer. Really realize that healing, it's a journey. Sometimes the journey, sometimes there's a chunk of time where it's a dip, but you come back up to the light. Remember that, Jesus was an avatar. I don't like to talk about religion and Jesus like that, but remember the whole thing that everybody missed the fucking point. It was about the resurrection, about the light, about these deep, really challenging initiations of the dark into our highest realization of our ability to go within and do that self-inquiry and to find the answers, that we can connect to our guides, have the faith and the hope that like this is for a reason. This is going to be your wisdom that you retrieve. I hope that helps you, Cancer. I'm sorry if it's really tough right now. All right, Leo, this Saturn that you're getting the gifts from is from having been in your seventh house of relationships. So this has been a massive 3-year relationship transit for you, and all of the gifts of beautiful relationships and everything you've learned and what you know now that you carry forward with you. So there's so much there. Like, are you autonomous now in your relationships instead of people pleasing and all those types of issues? And this full moon for you is this illumination of your second house of money and your self-worth and being resourceful, like understanding the creativity and the value that you bring to the world that makes you the money or creates you to have what you need in this world, like the resourcefulness that is you. If I put you in the kitchen, you can make yourself a meal rather than be like, what do I do with the, it's like Taurus is, that second house is that Taurus energy. It's about the self-worth within yourself, the skills and resources, inner resources within you, the inner abilities and talents and gifts that you have within you, that you are not helpless or disempowered. So self-mastery here, Virgo is highlighting the embodiment. Are you embodying your self-worth? Are you embodying mastery and creativity and determination and doggedness and knowing your value? Are you embodying the amazing value of who you are and your resourcefulness, and that you have that within you and that you can make things happen? And this Pisces may be, a lot of healing in this 8th house of sex, intimacy, intimate bonds with other people, losses, the dark side of life, the underbelly, the difficult challenge, pain, and loss, and the healing there. There's grieving there to do. Are you doing that active grief work? Not reacting, but leading your grieving and healing and doing all of that. And so this is being really highlighted. Saturn is going to move into Pisces, into your 8th house. So it's going to be 3 years of catalyzing deep, intimate bonds, intimacy, sex, this intimacy with yourself and your creative, procreative abilities in this incarnation to make shit, to bring beauty and magic. This is catalyzing the magician that you are in this next 3 years, and focusing you on your psychic gifts and abilities and talents and connection to the mystery. So pull cards for you, Leo. What wants to come forward for Leo? Man, the cards don't want to come up. All right. The distraction of shiny things, it's in a protection message. So everything that's charming is not gold. Really, the distractions, doing too many things, it's like, what are the 2 or 3 most important things, and how are you letting yourself be distracted? Really understanding what's important, really being connected to yourself every single day, like that recommitment and reconnection. The spark of creation in a self-care message. So are you realizing that you are the creator? You have it within you, that you have the ability and the talent and the skill. Are you forgetting that? Like, where's your inspiration? Where's your spark? Where's your joy? Where's your energy? So it says rise up, Leo. So stand on stage, be that confident Leo self, bring the light, bring the heart and the love, be willing to be vulnerable and authentic, and rise up. Realize that you're the inspiration to all the others that are coming behind you that need that spark that you're providing to help them come rise up. All right, Leo. Virgo. So all you Virgos out there, the Saturn's getting out of your 6th house, lifestyle, life force energy. 3 years in Aquarius there. About, is your lifestyle based on your highest frequency, soul, heart, what you really want, or what everybody told you life was about and what you should be doing? And did you just have shoulds, and were you fighting that? Was the last 3 years really challenging? So you're really fighting, like doing what you really wanted to do, and you were still trying to do the have-tos, or didn't understand this was all a program, and where you were dismantling that program within you. And so really getting the gifts of understanding how you want to live life, living life on your terms, and being really solid and having that self-mastery there now. Really being connected to spirit and soul in that place and being in alignment there. This full moon in your first house of identity, the ego, you know, how is that ego doing? Is it wounded? Is it damaged? Are you doing that inner work? Are you facing it? Is your personality your ego? That's the personality of the ego that the soul wears in this incarnation. Is it interesting in who you want to be and has like its own brand? You know, is your personality ego its own brand? Like, would I know who you really are? Could I pick you out of the crowd and be like, no, that's you. That's your unique self. Is there a unique you? And this is this illumination of embodiment of your unique, autonomous, sovereign self, that you have the ability inside you to be autonomous and to be sovereign and to be the one who initiates and is fully able to stand in this world. This grief might be of loss of relationships, them not going the way you want, the dreams you had, losing people, what you do want that you know haven't quite manifested yet. Could be a lot of grief there, healing around relationships, could be what you've been doing and so forth. But this is really this like me and them, this dynamic, healing the codependency and the being fair to everyone else and these types of themes, or maybe not being fair to other people and really being too perfectionistic and judgmental and exacting on people and not actually being enough Pisces compassion and love and understanding. Saturn is going to go into that 7th house of relationships and catalyze with focus you on relationships, but from Pisces, from soul. And there might be a lot of subconscious issues around all that. So Saturn is going to be stripping away everything that's not authentic and of your highest soul and for the best, and focusing there. And could be a lot of challenges in relationships for the next 3 years, but also realize that you can take it by the helmet and be like, I'm really going to listen to my intuition in relationships at all times and fight that inclination to figure it out in my head, and to really let Saturn focus me on what's the most important thing from the highest perspective. You got soul on fire in a self-care message, saying, are you really inspired, or are you getting bogged down in all the details and the worry and the analyzing and the figuring? And realize that this is art. This whole living life thing, it's about making art, and it's about the life itself is an art piece, is a masterpiece. So are you creating the masterpiece you want to look at on your deathbed and be like, I'm so glad I jumped out of that plane and did this exciting thing and danced naked and walked barefoot all of the million days I did, and stop being so stick up my ass? Like, are you having fun? And you got your living poetry again in a self-care message, realizing that you channel through the intuition through you, realizing that it comes through you. It's not from the left brain. Are you meditating? Are you getting in stillness? This came flying out. Collaboration of souls. Be a resource to other people and let people be a resource to you. We're in a community. We're community creatures. We need each other. And you can miss the value that you are to other people and seeing the depths and height of your value by not helping other people or being a resource to them. And you can really not delegate and get the help you need and be this person doing it all and doing everything and doing so much and thinking that other people don't have the excellency that you do, because you're not letting other people step up or learn excellency by doing or grow or help you. People need the experience to get there. So you may, have an excellency that other people don't, but don't have more tolerance. Don't penalize people for that and not give them the chance to grow and get there. All right, Virgo. Libra. I just want to check something real quick just to make sure this is recording. Please tell me this is recording. Good. Okay. It's like, do not, I'm tired. I don't want to do this all over again. There we go. Libra. So this Saturn is in your fifth house. So for the last 3 years, you're getting the gifts of realizing that you matter, you have something to bring the world, and you can own it and claim it and have that confidence and that self-assurity. So this is the gifts of this 3 years of this being catalyzed in your life. The Saturn focused you on this, and it focused you on children, romance, or issues around love, self-love, confidence, all of these things. So Saturn focused you here, and this Saturn catalyzed you in this area. And so it's like really stepping into all those gifts now, claiming them, owning them. This full moon is in your 12th house. It may be illuminating wounds, subconscious shit of that you don't want to create or keep creating, that, our subconscious turns into our reality. So there might be a lot of grief in your lifestyle, health issues, what you wished was going on, where you're not at, where you wanted to be, wistfulness, longing, things like that could be going on, dreaming, flowing in those areas where maybe you really want to be like getting things done and you just need to dream and flow and let the Pisces move you and move from intuition and really allow and surrender more. This is surrendering in your day-to-day life, your schedule and routines, and with your health. It's a lot of surrendering it up to the multiverse, trusting the multiverse to have your back, to be helping you and moving you around the obstacles to get you to the greatest gifts and the best higher position. And so this is really illuminating how you're doing in these areas. If you're doing that well, and this might be a lot of growth for this full moon, and it might feel really hard and a lot of healing there. And this Saturn is going to be moving into Pisces in that 6th house. So it's going to be really focusing you on your greatest possibilities of health, life force energy, the lifestyle you really want to live from Pisces soul, a lifestyle based on intuition, soul, and how you feel. Does this feel good? Feel bad? Do I want to do that? Do I think I have to? Shadow Virgo. Or am I doing this because this is what the right way supposedly is, or this is what everybody else says to do, or am I doing this because my soul and my heart went to, and this is what makes me happy and feel good, and this is what I know inside myself from my own wisdom. So this is what Saturn's doing for the next 3 years. It is catalyzing you here. It is focusing you to run your life now and your day-to-day work and your healing and health and lifestyle and rhythms, all from soul and spirit. And some cards that want to come up for you, Libra. Fierce serenity. So you got that surrender message right now. And this fierce serenity, what this really means is this self-possessed certitude, the certainty within yourself, this confidence of serenity that everything is great. So this is really a lot about nervous system reprogramming, not letting your nervous system be hijacked by old patterns and fears and PTSD type responses and stuff. Massive message for you right now. The good kind. in a self-care message, realizing that you are the good kind, realizing kindness and compassion, and realizing who you are, that you are the light, that you are an amazing person, that you have so much to offer and are so good. Acknowledging the good, kind, compassionate, amazing person you are. Give yourself a break. Befriend the word polarize, so that the paradox of life, really starting to let go of the cognitive dissonance and coming together and realizing that you're in one reality and you'll be seeing the other reality, that the two fishes of Pisces swimming in opposite direction, the Saturn in Pisces for these 3 years, particularly in that area of life, the 6th house for you, that befriend paradox, opposites, and that they coexist, and that it's pulling them together to integrate, the integration of that. And you have an extra card that came out, one step ahead is all you need. So don't let yourself be in that anticipatory anxiety and worry and fear. It's really about this nervous system reprogramming your nervous system to know it's safe, you're fine, there's not an emergency here, this is not a problem, and so on. Hope that helps, Libra. Scorpio, Saturn gifts, that Aquarius 4th house, last 3 years, that your security is based on your knowing, your connection to your higher self, soul, multiverse, your guides, your ancestors and spirit, rather than it being based on having a house or the money or the externals or the people or the relationships. And so this last 3 years was a lot of that. Like, did you do the inner work to really have your sense of security and deal with a lot of the discomforts that were disrupted to be based on something of higher frequency, something of heart and soul? You were focused on your home the last 3 years. You were focused on your emotions last 3 years. And if you did that work, you got the gifts. You're getting the gifts of emotional mastery, knowing how to alchemize emotions, really the sense of security, this real understanding and integration. Family, home, deeper connections, all of that, really having a lot of things shifting and moving for you there. Full moon is highlighting, activating that 11th house, your audience in your business, groups, friends, collectives, gatherings, tribe, feeling wanted, feeling connected. And do you have self-mastery there? Are you embodying your truth and your authenticity and soul with other people and in groups and all of that? So this is this full moon and this 5th house of where we stand on stage, our children, romance, our creative self-expression, confidence, wanting to show our gifts and bring them to the world. Have you grieved maybe where that didn't happen or what you wanted? Is there longing and wistfulness there? Or are you manifesting it, making it happen and creating it through using your mind to imagine what you want to live and create truly, really becoming masterful with that and dealing with any wounds there, shadow? Saturn is going to go into that house and catalyze you in that area of life. Do you know you matter? Are you bringing your gifts to the world, or are you holding back? Are you hiding in that scorpion hidey hole? Are you playing, there's the scorpion and the eagle and the phoenix that rises from the ashes with Scorpio. So are you playing the hiding victim and security, survival conscious, that you're letting that be your motivation rather than the results you want in your life, how you want to feel, and bringing your light to the world being your motivation, soul being your motivation, something higher. So Saturn's going to focus you here and bringing your gifts to the world, your creative self-expression, being on stage, confidence, worth, certainty within yourself. Scorpio, you got creator air in a self-care message. The mind. How are you using your mind is what you're thinking about all day long, what you want to live tomorrow, because that's how it works. Literally, that what you're thinking is creating emotions, which is your experience of life. And that's what you get tomorrow, whatever's going on today. Here's the thing. There's healing and underneath soul tangles that need to be dealt with and addressed for that to be an easier process. If it's so hard, it's about healing and deeper things going on. Stop, drop, and ground. Are you grounded? Are you embodied? Are you in your body? And why not? Is there healing and trauma or wounds that you're not in your body? And are you facing that and doing that? Are you grounded day to day? Or are you up in the dimensions and the ethers and then not in your body and grounded, which can be really problematic? Welcome the divine masculine. So that sacred divine masculine energy, whether that is another person, divine masculine men, believing that divine masculine men are everywhere and men are awakening and stepping up and they're healing their internalized patriarchy and their stuff and their wounds, and that there are amazing men or amazing people that are healing their masculine energy, the masculine principle within all people. This could be really understanding the masculine principle at work, and that peace within yourself, and what are the wounds there, what are the traumas there. So what else is there? Something else that Scorpio needs to know? It's that initiative action. So I'm getting from my guides that it's the ability to initiate, but from intuition. All right, Scorpio. Sag. So Sag, this Saturn gifts are all from that third house. Intellectual property, the mind, the stories you tell, the perspectives you have. Understanding the left brain, right brain, the integration. Understanding the left brain is really that receiver transmitter, and it just knows chewed gum. It's not really a creator. The right brain is the creator and the knower, the instinctual, intuitive nature. So all the gifts from that have really been catalyzed in this area of your mind and how you think and what that creates in your life and the perspectives and being a communicator out in the world. And so this full moon in your 10th house of your business, your sacred calling, taking up space in this world, particularly as a woman, being visible, your reputation, how people see you. And so this is highlighted. Is there self-mastery here? Are you embodying the most soulful, authentic expression here and taking up space in the world? And what is in the way of that? What needs healed? You know, how are you doing with this? Because it's that Pisces Virgo axis. There might be healing that's needed in your foundation, your sense of security, and your ability to be willing to be uncomfortable. Like discomfort is the price you pay for the big dream, and being out there in the world and going against the status quo or other people that think they know better or trying to be your authority or something. And there might be grief and lots of inner work here. And Saturn is going to move into this fourth house of home, family, children, emotions, your sense of security and belonging and safety and comfort. That can really have a lot to do with relationships, because the home, family relationships, and it's your roots. And so Saturn is going to focus you here for 3 years. And is that based on soul, or is that based on what society's programs are, or just old autopilot, old conditioning, socialization, past lives? You got cozy up with risk and a self-care message. So why do risks feel like risks to you? Why is it feel scary? What is the fear about? Can you reprogram your nervous system to respond not with fear, but with excitement, inspiration, passion, belief, self-belief. Shift the way to new potential. That you are this paradigm shifter in the world. You are this leader. You are on the cutting edge. You're awakened. You're the one that is leading other people. Radiate your light. Be the big, bold light out there. Believe in yourself. Get back to the elemental and a self-care message of the earth, embodiment, grounding, the air, vision, and holding fast to the vision, and emotions, your sensuality and sexuality and connection to your power, and action, the fire, intuition to action, no thinking in the middle. So just the simplest things. What does your soul say in a protection message? You're listening to your mind too much and not your intuition. Going to be guided by your intuition. All right, Sag. Capricorn. So Saturn in your second house, money, self-worth, self-love, knowing the resourcefulness within you, that you have all this creative ability to create from within you and coming from that place. And you're getting the gifts of that. Your self-love and self-worth and your abundance was all a focus of the last 3 years, that coming from soul and your highest frequency. What frequency are you at? And that's where you've been creating, and that's where your self-love is at. This full moon is highlighting your 9th house, standing in your expertise, where you're ignorant and dogmatic, where you are expanding and reaching out and growing and leading and teaching and shining, where you are connecting to the higher knowledge of all that is. And this integration of maybe needing to grieve how you communicate, how you're seen and perceived, what you've created in the world, what you wanted to create, what you didn't. All of this, Saturn's catalyzing this area of your 3rd house. How you think, your narration, your stories, the stories you tell about life, relationships, people, every single category in the whole world. What is the story you are currently telling about it? Is that the one you want to keep experiencing in your life? You can rewrite these stories. Saturn is catalyzing this. Is it coming from heart and soul, or from programs, from what other people say is the right thing, from this fake, false duty and politeness? Or is it coming from what you want to create a soul and what you want to experience incarnated in this journey here? Make a mission statement for your soul. This card is all soul. It's like, are you listening? Are you feeling, Capricorn? Capricorn can stuff down emotions. Emotions can be really calcified, can be really stoic. It's like this stalactite and stalagmites, all the water calcified into this thick, hard crusted structure and forms. Like, break that open, feel, let it flow, inflow with money. This is being in the abundance consciousness. Realize that shortage consciousness is a program out in the collective to keep you down. It's not real. And it can be a real untangling to untangle that and heal money, but heal that, do that work. Celebrate your wins, acknowledge your gifts, acknowledge what you change and grow, and every little amazing thing you do, acknowledge it. And if you can't, why? All right, Capricorn, I hope that helps. Aquarius, Pluto's moving into your sign on the 23rd. Big things happening. And big things. Saturn in your 1st house the last 3 years, identity, your reality, like how you see your reality and who you are and how you experience threat and what you think of yourself, what you thought of yourself, and who you're really supposed to be. Is that authentic and based on soul? This has been a hell of a 3 years of figuring that out. And you are probably a completely different person. And you might have been in a Saturn return. So it's a stripping away of everything that's not authentically you, and it can have been coming off a really challenging time. This full moon is in your 8th house, sex, money, resources, deep intimacy and bonds. the occult, the metaphysical, the mystery, your connection to your psychic gifts and ability, and what's behind the veil, and trusting all that, channeling. So this full moon is really talking about self-mastery in those areas, and talking about embodiment of soul, your soul self. This full moon is really asking you to integrate that Pisces, and there can be a lot of grieving and money, wound, shadow, subconscious shit, a lot coming up there. Could be a lot of trying to escape there, dealing with self-worth issues, self-love, realizing the resources you have within you, and facing that, and really coming from this place of heart and soul. Saturn is moving into that second house, Aquarius. So it's a big deal. You're going to be catalyzing money, abundance, self-love, self-worth, understanding your gifts, your ability to create, that you have it within you. You create value. And what are your values? Are they the highest that they could be? Are they creating what you want to experience in this life? What you're here to bring? Prosperity, sisters, or happiness and joy. So this isn't a self-care message saying that you're not creating from joy and happiness. That should be priority. Where is your frequency? And can you spend all your time getting your frequency up, healing what is in the way of that, and creating when you're there? And so it's like prosperity comes from joy, not from your head. And remember that cerebral propensity of Aquarius to be in the head and figuring and thinking, gotta come from instinct, gotta come from joy and inspiration. Bravely market your magic, bravely put yourself out there, Aquarius, bravely believe in yourself, bravely know your value, trust your instincts and intuition, come from that place, market yourself, be visible in this world, be proud, be strong, be confident and bold, find your sacred flow, that Pisces energy of flowing, the instincts, the emotions, flowing from the inspiration and the beauty, making art and following your joy. Hope that helps, Aquarius. Pisces, big deal, Saturn moving into your sign. So really big deal. This could be a rebirth. If this is your rising sign, this is your sun. This is really focusing on your purpose and who you are, and that confidence and certainty. And this is an activation if it's your sun. So the Saturn is moving out of your 12th house. What the fuck did you learn here? What was catalyzed here? Your psychic abilities and gifts, your connection to spirit and source, and all that is, your knowledge, your understanding, clarity, healing wounds and past life issues and traumas, and wrapping up old karmic loops and stories and confuckery. And, it could be have been a lot of isolation the last 3 years. And so there's gifts. This is coming to a close. This is a big deal. This full moon in your 7th house is highlighting, illuminating relationships and the self-mastery there. Have you gained self-mastery? Is there issues there? And are you embodying your soul in relationships and letting the chips fall where they may? People may be triggered. People may be upset. People may leave. People may whatever. You be real in soul and your authentic, beautiful self. Healing in your identity, healing the wounds, how people see you, where it didn't go right, what you really wanted, the wistfulness, the longing. Be aware of that and get out of that and go into actually the healing of it, the facing of the emotions, feeling the emotions, releasing them all around your ego hurts, ego wounds, confidence, belief in yourself, your personality, who you are. Are you a unique identity? Could I pick you out of a crowd and be like, that's you? Or would you just blend in with all the other blending ins? I had somebody say to me, like, oh, like the other day, like, oh, like, what did they say? They were like, something about, oh, labels, Jude, like, are you just like, we got to put the labels on? Like, yeah, I want a fucking label. I'm an astrologer. I'm not a poop picker upper, I'm not a zookeeper. I'm an astrologer. People that want astrology and, rather than people with zoo animals need to be the ones to, it's like, yes, I know what I am. I'm a soul coach. I'm a channel. I'm a medium. I have these clear identities. I know who I am. I have purple hair. I don't have blonde hair. I don't have brown hair. This is my identity. It may change. It may shift. Pisces is mutable. Virgo is mutable. It's changeable, adaptable, shiftable, versatile, manifesting, changing. But I have a clear identity. What's your identity? What is that? Who is that? Yes, I want labels. I don't want to blend the fuck in with everybody else. I want you to know I'm here, right? I don't want you to confuse me with Sarah or Joe or Bob or whatever. No, I'm me. I'm here. So it's like, yes, having a clear personality. Is your personality wounds and ego stuff? Is there grieving or healing needed there? Saturn's moving into your first house. Big deal. You're getting catalyzed in this area of your life. Everything I just went over, that is being the focus. You're getting focused here. Is this coming from soul? Is your personality ego, which is almost, you could almost say it's like the opposite of soul, right? Is that based upon soul, motivated by soul, coming from instincts? Is it integrated with soul? Is your higher self leading the show? Or is the wounded ego leading? And Saturn's going to strip away everything that's not authentically of soul in this area of your life. Get ready. It's a rebirth of you, identity, self, ego, the house for your soul. It's a rebirth. This is a blam. This is a coming out party. This is a new life. It's time, Pisces. I know you've had a hard fucking 3 years, man. I'll tell you. What do you really want? What do you really want? Because if you don't know what you really want, you can't put the X on the spot and mark the spot. So what do you really want? And what don't you want? Because knowing what you don't want can help you know what you want. Knowing what you want means like, I say no to all of this. Stop saying yes to everything you don't want. When you know what you want, say no to everything else. You have to get amazing at saying no if you want to build $1 million business. If you want to be well known in this world, if you want to shine your light and help people rise up, you need to get good at saying no to what you don't want. And stop being afraid of hurting people's feelings and own your no. And let them deal with their own internal whatevers. You got to get comfortable with other people being upset. That is not your responsibility to deal with. You don't have to, you can be compassionate and kind and loving and be like, no, you got balance and a protection message. So realizing that, what is out of balance? Balance is not static. It's a shifting, moving thing. There's like micro course corrections all the time. So what are the micro course corrections that you need right now? Is sleep out of balance, eating, vices, escapism, are you a fully resourced woman? Are you a fully resourced woman? Are you pleasured, exercised, loved, connected? Do you have all these things that make you a fully resourced woman? Do you have enough connection each week? Do you have enough love in your life? Do you have enough pleasure? Are you stimulated intellectually and emotionally and spiritually? And bliss is worth creating from. Focus on this. This has got to be the focus. Bliss is worth creating from. So if you're not creating from bliss, then you should be creating the bliss. So it's either one or the other. All your time should be like, how do I get inspired? And then when I'm inspired, I do inspired work. But fuck this work hard thing. That's a program from the industrial fascists. A lot of people are like so committed. Like, oh, yeah. No. I mean, you'll get it if that's what you want. You'll get hard work. Believe me. I'm Taurus and 4 planets. I know. Like, I didn't know what I was. I knew when I knew finally. So bliss is worth creating from. And there's just so many colors in this card. It's just so vibrant and beautiful. Pisces energy. And pull you another card, Pisces, because it's such a big happening for you. This moon is so monumental. You've been waiting for this. You've been wanting shifts. You are epic. Believe it. I mean, this is all your first house. Believing in the amazingness of you, owning your value, owning your amazingness, seeing your light, seeing your worth and your value and your importance in this world, and anything that doesn't agree with that, it's out. You know, that first card, what do you really want? Anything that is not agreeing with what you really want, out. Done. It's just so crystal clear. You are epic. Can you believe that? Do you believe that deep down in your soul? Because this Saturn might be tough if you don't. Manifesting and doing, realizing that it's got to be inspiration to action, not thinking in the middle, and not action from hard work. All right, Pisces, sending you so much love. Everyone, sending you so much love. And hope this video is helpful. I'm going to get off here. It's super long. I'll talk to you on the next video, either full moon or new moon video. And you can get all of the important stuff over at TikTok, The Goddess Astrologer, or thegoddessastrologer.com.